Everybody, welcome back to yet another cooking stream. I hope you're all having a beautiful Wednesday. It's a Wednesday. Oh my God, it's been a couple of days and I miss you all already so much. It's good to see everybody. Welcome on in. I see that we have the one and only Anamanaguchi, I believe Luke in chat. I see that we have Jack in chat as well. Hello, hello, welcome in. I hope everybody is having a good Wednesday. I'm a little bit tired. I've had a bit of a lazy day myself. Also, hello, Space Toast, Coast to Coast. Wow, what a Twitch handle. That's excellent. Welcome on in. And also thank you for the follow to whoever just followed. I didn't get a chance to catch your name. Welcome in, everybody. I'm pretty excited about today's stream. It's going to be nice and cozy. Fake Chef Luke reporting for duty, says Anamanaguchi. Welcome on in. You're not a fake chef. If you're here, you're all my precious sous chefs. I am chef. I am just chef. I am just the head chef. But you're all my sous chefs if you're watching this. So nobody here is a fake chef. And if you think you are, well, it's time to learn. I've had a bit of a cozy day today. I haven't done much. I saw that I had some stuff in my fridge that I've wanted to get rid of, and that was the inspiration for today's stream. We will be doing a very nice and simple, delicious little meatball chicken soup, a chicken and meatball soup. And this was because I had two things in my fridge that I've noticed. I had some ground beef, and I've also had a bunch of chicken legs. So let's get a load. Let's get a load of these guys. Get a load of these guys. So these were given to me by my grandma. These were given to me by my grandma because she didn't know what to do with them. Also, thank you so much for the 6 months gifted sub. Wow, that was pretty huge. Thank you, thank you. That's very sweet of you. Look at this thing. I have a bunch of chicken legs here. And this is going to make us a beautiful stock. And then in the process of getting that stock, we will also get a bunch of really nice shredded chicken that's then going to go into this soup itself. I have some fairly lean ground beef here. Okay, and this is going to get mixed up with a bunch of other stuff, and we're going to make a really, really lovely meatball mix, and I'm pretty excited to talk to you about that because there's a lot that actually goes into meatballs. There's a lot of thought, there's a lot of theory, and I have a lot of strong opinions about the subject matter, and we will get to it shortly. Okay, and I also have some of this cauliflower. I love cauliflower, one of my favorite vegetables. It's nice and comfortable. It's going to go into this lovely little soup as well. Just cut it up into florets, nicely poached. We have some onions, we have some carrots, we have some celery, your classic French mirepoix. So, guys, today's stream is not going to be anything crazy. I'm just going to show you some stock fundamentals, and I'm going to show off some meatball theory, and I can't wait to talk about the meatballs themselves. Also, that's very, very sweet of you. Welcome to the stream. I'm glad that you're here now. Welcome on in. I'm glad that the YouTube VODs were able to get to you. You like balls? I'm glad that you do, Gabby. I like meatballs too, but I have a lot to talk about and I have a lot to say on the matter. But first things first, we have to get ready and done with the stock. Okay, the stock is going to be the thing that takes the longest. We have to pressure cook it. I love doing these in a pressure cooker. This is going to be a very clean stock. Normally, I would do stocks out of chicken carcasses and bones. This was given to me, all of these different chicken legs. I want to get some nice shredded chicken out of it, and I'll show you exactly how we're going to build that now. So, let's head on over to my overhead camera, my friends. I'm going to set aside my knife. We don't actually need it quite yet. And of course, if anybody at any point has any questions, please feel free to ask them to me. So, again, terrifying view, very close up. POV, you're about to be put into the stock. Pretty brutal, isn't it? So, we're not going to seal it. We're not going to do anything crazy with it. We're not going to do anything fancy with it. We're just going to make a quick pressure cooked stock. Now, I don't think I'm going to use all of it for the soup today. But using chicken legs, while maybe not the most ideal bone for something like a stock, normally I would do chicken feet, normally I would do the chicken carcass, we will get a lovely byproduct, which in this case is going to be all of that really nice shredded chicken out of this. So I'm just going to plop it in and then I'm going to arrange it a little bit better after I do that. You can cut them in half. You don't have to really cut them in half. It doesn't do anything here. A pressure cooker is just going to take care of it for you. Okay, so I'm just going to assemble it nice and tightly. Oh, excuse me. Didn't mean to hit you guys. My apologies. I'm going to just make sure that everything is on one even layer on the bottom. Okay? And I'm going to show you everything that will throw into this. Or, you know what? Not necessarily even. Something like that will be just fine too. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and set this pot aside. We don't need it for another moment. So I'm just going to, ooh, excuse me. That's the wrong camera. I'm going to set this aside over here. And then we got to talk about all the stuff that's going to go inside of the stock itself. So, first thing, because we will be having some carrot go into the soup itself, I'm going to just trim off the top of the carrot and the bottom. And these are going to be used for the stock instead. They'll impart a little bit of sweetness, and we get to also even up the carrot, so it's going to be a lot easier for us to deal with later. Okay, and then we don't get to waste these. So I already washed these up, I scrubbed these up. This is going to get thrown into the pot, my friends. This is what your tops of aromatics are really good for. Now, I do have a thought. I see a lot of people, we're going to peel this carrot because I don't like the carrot peels too much. I see a lot of people, they peel the carrot and then they add the carrot peels into their stock. There's a very specific reason I'm not doing that today. And that's because if we were to peel the carrot, these skins are going to cook so fast, they're going to make the stock really, really cloudy. They're going to make it really dirty, and it's going to slightly affect your mouthfeel as well. And I think, most of the sweetness is in the flesh as it is. We're not wasting it that much if we were to just throw away the carrot peels themselves. So by the time that the stock would be done, the carrot peels would be so overcooked, it would make the whole thing cloudy, but having the big chunks of the top and the bottom will allow us to use those scraps without risking that. So I'm not peeling this. It's not going to go inside. Okay. The thing I am going to do, I also have some celery, right, that's going to go into this. I'm going to just chop off the big white part, throw that into the stock as well. Right, classic French stock kind of thing going on. That is a big ass carrot, isn't it? Right, we're going to just take care of that, and then we'll get to chopping that later on as well. It'd be a shame to cut it. Yeah, well, it's gonna get chopped up for the soup. Don't you worry. Okay, next up, we have some garlic cloves. Also, hello to Cyber Godfruits. Welcome on in. So, Rabbit Raisins, you said that your grandpa used to make stock. You wish you got his recipe. Now, I will say this. Stock is a very simple thing. It's a very simple thing. It is conceptually really simple. And there's a lot of different ways that it's done across a lot of different cultures. If you tell me a little bit about, let's say, your family background, if you tell me about maybe some of the flavors that you remember your stock tasting like, I could probably reverse engineer it and tell you what was in it. Was it clear? Was it cloudy? What ethnicity is your family, right? All of those things, I could probably just tell you what it is, because stocks, they tend to be fairly similar from culture to culture. Okay, so garlic cloves. Here's what we do. We're going to just smash in a couple. We're not going to need that many because there's still going to be plenty of garlic in the soup itself. So I'm just going to take, 3 cloves, and I like doing this over a bowl because these skins are really papery and they like flaking off. And don't worry about cleaning up these garlic cloves or anything. We're just going to smash them down so they can impart a little bit of flavor into the stock itself, because this is how we make the pungency of the garlic. Okay? One place I worked at used those big carrots to show off our peelers. That's right. Did you used to sell peelers? You know what? I am going to peel this just so we don't have to fish it out later. We've already smashed it. We may as well peel it because it easily separates it. But yes, you can use your carrot peels for the stock. You just can't cook it as aggressively as we're about to cook it is the only thing, if you want to do that. Okay? So these garlic cloves, just 3 of them, I'm going to toss on in. And then the last step is we're going to do some bay leaves, and we're going to do some black peppercorns. Okay? Now, there's a lot of people out there that say, oh, Daramgar. Nobody actually tells me that. But there's a lot of people out there that are bay leaf haters. There's a lot of avid bay leaf haters. Okay? I am not one of them. I love bay leaves. Bay leaves, listen, I grew up having bay leaves, and we would eat like these Russian meat dumplings called pilmeni. And this is the smell that they would always be like cooked in, right? They would always be cooked in a little water that was flavored with bay leaves for me growing up. And it's very nostalgic. You can feel them. If you don't feel them, you're not using enough of them. Okay? Also, Jack asks me, do you use cabbage as well to make the broth more clear? I don't know about people using cabbage to make their stocks more clear. I've never heard of that. If anything, I feel like cabbage soups, they tend to be maybe like a little sulfuric smelling for me. Русский болит? Я не понимаю, что ты мне говоришь. I do speak Russian. It is my first language. But anyways, we put in the bay leaves, and now we have to do some black peppercorns. All right? I'm just going to do that over here for you guys. Pop this pot back on this. And now I'm going to do something very intentional. Once again, I do this every time I make a stock, or rather I don't do this. I never salt my stocks. I never salt it because we're not going to use all of this broth today. This broth is going to be used for something else later on. We don't know if later on we will be making, let's say, like a sauce. Let's say we want to boil it down. We're going to have all of the salt in there. We're going to have all the salt in there. and it's going to reduce and it's going to become overly salty. We do not want to salt this at any point unless we know for a fact that we will be just using this for the soup. I can always add salt later on. I'm going to freeze some of this. I'm going to have some of this in my fridge. I'm going to use this throughout the week. Okay? So, also hello to Gab Salt. Welcome on in. And rabbit raisins. You know what? I'm going to get to your message after you fill this up with water. I'm going to take a second to go ahead and do that. For this amount, by the way, I'm going to show you. We don't want to overfill this because we want a nice concentrated stock. So I think I'm going to like stop at like maybe 2.5 liters of water. And what's really nice about a pressure cooker is, of course, you have like the lines that tell you how many liters of water you've put in there. Thank you. It was my first language. I grew up speaking it because my neighborhood around me is very Russian. Okay, I'm going to fill this up with water and I'll be back in just a second. Don't misbehave. Also, because I know there's a couple of people who are new here, whenever I tell you to do something, there is a unanimous yes, chef, that should happen. So, nobody misbehave. And you're going to do the thing. Great. I'll be back in a second. Yeah, that's about 2.5 liters of water, so maybe a little bit more. Maybe we'll get a little bit more stock out of this because this is still quite a few chicken legs. Also, thank you so much to Wonder Woody for the sub. Hope you're having a beautiful day today. Okay, one thing about pressure cookers though, you want to make sure that the lip of it isn't wet or anything. You want to make sure the bottom of it isn't wet. You want it to be able to build pressure normally. Okay? Good. I'm glad that everybody is saying yes, chef, in chat. Good. It'd be funny if I had like a thing that displayed it every time somebody said yes, chef. Like a counter or something. Okay. But I am also going to keep the Russian speaking to a minimum because I want to keep the stream accessible for everybody. Okay. I followed you on Twitter for ages. First stream I've caught. Well, welcome on in. Happy to have you. I actually couldn't get you. I could not understand your phonetics that time. I apologize. Okay, everybody. So, I threw the stock onto the pressure cooker. We're doing high pressure for about 50 minutes, and we'll have to do 40 minutes if we don't have enough time to do so. Okay. So, moving on. We have to now think about the meatballs. We have to think about everything else that's going to go into the soup. And if we also have time, maybe I'll do a little bit of garlic bread. I also, fun fact, I can't read Russian. I can only speak it. I couldn't understand your phonetics, and I couldn't read it either, unfortunately. I'm a stupid American. I can't understand what this is. Yeah, that's right. We have to make sure that all the stupid Americans can keep up. So I apologize. Okay, everybody, once again, the stock pressure cooker. We set it to high, 50 minutes. I love pressure cookers for making stocks like this. Okay, I forgot the potato. There is no potato going into the stock. There's no potato going into the stock. There's no potato going into the soup. You know why? Because I didn't have any at home. It's pretty tragic. It's pretty unfortunate. The thing is, this soup was basically inspired by, I looked at my fridge and I looked at what I had. Right? I looked at my fridge and I looked at what I had, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to try to make a soup out of this. If I wanted potatoes, I would have had to go out and buy it, and I did not want to leave my house today. Hence why we're making a little bit of a leftover soup. And also, saying that potatoes are Russian is a little bit interesting. Potatoes are quite a recent addition, historically speaking, to Russian cuisine. I forgot who it was. Basically, they looked at France and they were like, ooh, we want potatoes, and they brought it over despite the fact that potatoes weren't the best for the soil. If anything, to me, I feel like the starch that is distinctly Russian is buckwheat. I feel like buckwheat is the distinct Russian grain. It is the distinct Russian staple. And potatoes are kind of a bit more of a newer addition, historically speaking, to my understanding. Okay, so now we have to think about the meatballs, my friends. We have a lot to talk about in this regard. So, there is a mistake that people make. This is really important. I need everybody to listen now. There is a key difference between a meatball and a burger patty. They're not the same. A meatloaf is probably the closest thing to a meatball. The number one mistake I see when people do burgers, they're like, I have a little bit of ground beef. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to mix in eggs. I'm going to mix in breadcrumbs and do all these fucking things. No. Fundamentally speaking, a burger patty should be one thing and one thing only, straight meat. It should just be beef or whatever other meat you're using. It should not have anything else in it. Okay. Another thing that people do. People say, oh, carbohydrates bad, starch bad, and they do meatballs that are just pure meat with maybe some other stuff mixed in, and that's also a mistake. If we're talking about a Western style meatball, the most important component in it alongside the meat is the starch. Adding in soaked bread, adding in breadcrumbs, adding in whatever starch that you actually have available to you is essential to the texture of a meatball. And I'm going to tell you why. If you have just straight meat that you put in some boiling water and you boiled it, you're going to get stuffy and chewy. You're going to get really, really chewy and bouncy meatballs. That's not what we're going for. We want a nice, tender, and soft meatball all the way through. You need the inclusion of a starch, and I'm going to explain to you why. The starch soaks up any released moisture that the meatball expels as it cooks. When meat cooks, it shrinks and it pushes out water. So having a bread component inside, some people do breadcrumbs. I just have a slice of bread that we're going to soak and put in. Having that inside of the meatball is going to soak up any liquids that the meat exudes, and it also stops the protein mesh from building up to be too long. Basically, if you were to have something that is pure meat, think of it as a bunch of protein strands wound up super tight, and they shrink and they get even tougher. And the starch, in a way, does a really good job of breaking that up and stops it from squeezing too tight. Okay, that is my structural understanding of it. It's not too scientific, but that is what I've observed, and that is how I understand meatballs to come into existence. Does it help it to stick together better too? Look, as long as it's not too wet, then it'll stick together. If you find that it's not sticking together and it's falling apart, you might have added too much bread, or you might have wanted like an egg in there as well. We don't necessarily need to do an egg. So, as for the binding, I think people undermix their meatballs. People say, oh, don't overmix ground meat, you'll make it too chewy. I promise you, with enough of the starch, it's gonna be perfect. These meatballs, we're doing them Italian style, okay? We have a little bit of cheese. We're gonna have the bread. We're gonna have some sauteed onion. We should do the onion first. What about people putting milk in meatballs? People put milk in specifically to soak the bread. They add in a little bit of moisture into the bread, and that's exactly what we'll be doing. Okay, so it's actually not bad at all. It's perfectly fine. It's encouraged even. So my friends, in this meatball, I want some fried onion. I see people all the time, they do like a grated onion inside. To me, it makes it way too wet. It makes it way too wet. I like it cooked down. I like it really nice and sweet. It's gonna add a very lovely sweetness to the meatball itself. So, here's what's gonna happen, my friends. We are gonna go to the cutting board really quickly. I keep going to do it on camera. I wanna be able to show up the stove as well. I'm gonna get this onion out. We're only gonna need about, yeah, I don't like raw onion. If you're gonna do raw onion, at least grate it. But I hate like finely chopped or just chopped up raw onion in a meatball. Also, I'm from New York. That is my New York accent. And I also have a bit of a speech impediment. Okay. But yeah, I don't love raw onion and meatballs. What do I think about a bit of bread and meatballs? Muha, you just missed my entire rant. The bread component is essential. That is what makes it a meatball and not a burger patty. No, I don't have a Middle Eastern accent. I'm not Middle Eastern. Okay, here's what happens, my friends. We're gonna get a little pan. In the pan, we're gonna heat it up. We're gonna get it to a nice like medium hot. We don't have to caramelize the onion. We just wanna like fry it. We wanna get rid of some of the moisture, and we wanna get some of the sweetness out of the onion itself. I wanna have some onion for the soup itself. And I think, you know what? We'll do half a red onion. I'm gonna glove up. We're heating up the stainless steel pan, and we'll do a little bit of oil in there, okay? Whenever it's nice and hot. So again, the idea is this. For the meatballs themselves, I wanna make this mixture in advance. I wanna get it done now, and I wanna have it sit down and chill out until we're ready to use it. And then we're gonna shape it. And I'm thinking, are we doing big meatballs? Are we doing small ones? I don't know yet. We'll figure that out. And these meatballs are not gonna be fried. We're making a soup. I don't wanna go through the process of having to fry them for something like this. It's gonna be a meatball soup, okay? So, red onion, we're gonna cut the head off. Then we're going to slice it down halfway through the core of the onion. And then we're gonna set aside this half. This is gonna go into the soup. Okay? Okay. Let's go ahead and peel up the onion, my friends. Get it out of here. Boop, off it comes. Excellent. And again, we're keeping the core of the onion intact because as we slice it, it's gonna keep it together and stop it from falling apart and all over the place. Okay? So my friends, we're going to go ahead And we're going to do some nice thin incisions. We're not trying to slice off parts of the onion. We're just making some incisions. And this is all going to cook down. You don't have to make these perfect, but I like the nice small cuts because I don't want to bite into a hunk of onion in the meatball. I just want it to break down and give it a lot of really, really pleasant sweetness. Okay? So and now we can just slice away. Nice thin slices all the way through. And because we made the incision and because we kept the root intact, we're able to keep it all together. Okay, and whenever your cutting board gets too crowded, don't force it. Just stop. Get out a nice little bowl. And you're going to take all this onion. We're going to use a bench scraper. Of course, homemade meatballs, Duolingo. Absolutely. What else would we be doing? I would never. Guys, frozen meatballs, they're just not worth it. They're just not worth it. I'm sorry. I see people do that. I just can't. That is one of the things I just cannot do under no circumstances. They're just not worth it. Okay? Chopping down the onion. Ah, my tears are crying. My tears are flowing a little bit. Cooking streams are the best. Well, I'm happy to provide. Okay, my friends. And now nice thin slices all the way through. Okay. Again, we don't want any pieces that are too thick. Let's get that off. Also, thank you, Pomplute. I tried my best. All right. We're going to go ahead and scrape all this back up. We're going to get some oil into the pan now. Thank you, Bass. But I use it and not she, her. But thank you. That's very sweet of you. Okay. Let's do a little bit of oil. Now, let's do olive oil. We're going to do olive oil. And the reason I'm not using like a neutral oil, like avocado oil or canola oil or something, is because all of this is going to go back into the meatball itself. Okay? And I want a nice tasty oil, right? I don't want something like avocado oil where it would be just like a neutral oil with no flavor. Avocado oil doesn't taste particularly good. Olive oil is delicious. And we're not going to cook this on such a high heat that it is going to like burn off any of the flavors. It's not going to have it like any, we're not going to burn the oil, essentially. We're not doing like a super hot saute or anything. We're going to go medium and slow. Medium and slow is the way to go for these kinds of onions. You have to be careful with red onions. They do tend to burn a little bit more than other kinds of onions. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if that's about sugar content or something about the pigment, but I have noticed that red onions, they definitely burn a little bit easier. Okay, my friends. So, pan, nice and hot, but not scorching hot, not screaming hot. Enough oil to lubricate the bottom, but it's not smoking or anything. We're just getting all the onions in here. And we're going to hit it with some salt. Okay? Yes, those are. They might have more sugar in them. That's right. Yeah. So keep a close eye. We're doing like a medium-low heat or so. Oh my God, am I running out of salt? Do I have kosher salt anywhere? Oh shit. Oh gamers, this might be a problem. There is no way that I've just run out of salt. Uh-oh. Okay, I need to definitely stock up on some. We'll figure it out. I think I have some other salt somewhere. That's bad. That's actually pretty bad of me. Do I not have any anywhere else? And now, my friends, we've salted it. We're going to mix this through evenly. Perfect. Shake it to get it back together. Bunch it up. Lovely. We're cooking up those onions. Yeah, somebody used up all of it. Can't believe who it would be. It's probably me. How could this have happened? This is a tragedy. This actually is the closest that you can come to a tragedy in this kitchen. Frying onions, that's right. Okay, I'm gonna quickly wash off my knife because this is a carbon steel knife and you don't wanna leave these too wet or like too dirty for too long because you run the risk of rusting your knife. So just give it a little wash. I'm gonna wipe it off. Okay, everybody following along so far? So once again, as a little recap, we already have the stock going for the soup. It's in the pressure cooker at the moment. We're doing it in a little chicken stock. And we're gonna shred up some of that chicken, maybe not all of it. to go into the soup itself. And now we're just frying up these onions. These onions are purely for the sake of the meatballs. We're trying to collapse their texture. We're trying to get them all really nice and soft. And now, once they've softened at that point, in order to flip it, you're going to need a spoon because they start kind of sticking to the bottom. They start like, getting a lot softer. They don't like being tossed nearly as easily. Okay? So, nice little wooden spoon. My heat might be slightly too high. I'm noticing a little bit more browning on the bottom than I would like. Okay, just mixing it all around. We're going to distribute it nice and flat. Nice low heat at this point. Again, we're just looking to really, really sweat down those onions. We're looking to break them down. We're looking to get them really nice and soft and melty. And then they're going to be beautifully distributed throughout the meatballs. Okay? I'm going to do some cleaning while I have a second of time. Okay? Also, hello, Big Zach. Welcome, welcome. Show me but no kosher salt. That's right. It's a real tragedy. Hope you're having a beautiful day, Big Zach. Okay. I'm just gonna get the sheet tray into the dishwasher. Guys, everybody remember, clean as you go whenever you have downtime. I will always do this on stream because guess what? I'm not cooking from a professional studio. I'm cooking from my own home kitchen, and thus, I need to treat it and respect it as that. If I did this 3 times a week and I made a big mess of dishes every single time, I would have gone insane. So, this is an essential step, and everybody, and I mean you too, you need to be doing it. Clean as you go, and you will thank yourself later on. Okay? Because small Zach was already taken. All right, let's see those onions. Yeah, you can already see those onions are getting quite dark on the bottom. Okay, just a little bit more time, and then we'll take them off. We just want to sweat them down. We want to get all the liquid out of them. We don't really want to brown them too much. We can if we really want, but it's just about getting all that extra volume out that we do not need. I guess one thing I can also do in the meantime is I've realized I've neglected to smash some garlic into this. Okay, Nick, this is somebody you haven't met. That's a little bit of a weird question. I'm just going to say, but that's okay. All overhead camera. Let's go back in. I'm going to grab my garlic press. I love my garlic press to death. We're going to use it a bunch today. And this is just for the meatballs right now. I just want to fry up some garlic while we're at it, okay? Yeah, you got to clean as you go. I think it's pretty essential. Smash those down just to peel the skin off of them. Okay, and then the skin just pops right out when you do that. And again, guys, remember, those onions, they're probable to burn at any given moment, so you have to baby them, right? So we're done peeling this garlic. Guess what? I'm going to give them another stir now. Going to give them another stir. Make sure they're not getting too dark on the bottom. Nice low heat, okay? And the oil is going to add some like much needed fat. This ground meat that I have, I think it's a little too lean for my taste. That does make sense. Yeah, not having a dishwasher makes it exponentially times more difficult, so I feel for you. Okay, we've smashed down the garlic. All we need to do, my friends, you take a garlic, you throw it into the garlic smasher. I love doing this so that I don't have to get it all over my cutting board. I love my garlic press, and people do not use these enough. Okay? Oh, shit. I tossed it aside completely. Do we have internet problems? What happened? Did something disconnect? Wait, did something happen? Yeah, a lot of people are garlic press haters. I'm a garlic press lover. Okay, an avid one. Like that. Now we're good? Okay, you scared the shit out of me. Gotta be careful. So, all this garlic is going in, and we don't need to cook this for too long at this point. We just want to fry up the garlic a little bit. Beautiful. And we've reduced these onions. We've gotten rid of a lot of the extra volume. And you'll see how we make the meatballs. You will see. Cleaning it can be a bit of a pain. That is right. Excellent. I'm happy to hear it. Let's head back to the stove. Again, you want to constantly stir this to make sure that your garlic isn't going to burn or anything. Give it a little shake. Only a couple more seconds, and then we'll pull it off. Yeah, nice. And these are going to build up the meatballs. It's going to be lovely. Okay, I think for my taste, that is now done. And now, my friends, let's start building the base of the meatball themselves. Okay? So, here's what we're going to need. We're going to need a bowl that you think is slightly too big. The number one mistake I see people, well, actually there's a lot of mistakes I see people make when they make meatballs, but they choose a bowl that's too small. You want a bowl that's big enough that you can get your hands in there, they can get a little messy in. If you have a bowl that's perfectly sized for the ground beef that you put in there, what's going to happen is it's going to splash up, it's going to make a mess, and you're not going to be able to comfortably mix it. You want a bowl that's slightly too big. Okay, you have to account for the extra displacement that adding your hands inside the bowl you're going to add. So, getting all the onions, all the garlic out of here. And now, let's just start thinking about building up the meatball. So, I have no idea how much ground beef I have. But what I do know is, it's fine. You're going to see what happens. You still don't know yet. You still don't know what's going to happen yet. Okay? We're adding in the bread first. We're going to be cooling it down. We're going to be cooling it down. We add in a slice of bread. Remember, this is an essential component of meatballs. If you're doing an Italian, if you're doing a Western style meatball, you need the softness that these provide. Okay? That was one little teeny tiny slice of bread. We might even do another. I have no idea how much meat I have, but I'm looking at that visually, and I feel like that's not enough. And you're going to see what happens. We're going to do a little bit more bread. Okay? You can do breadcrumbs, you can do sliced bread, it does not matter for something like this. We're going to break it up, we're going to turn it into mush. So, we're going to soak this now in a little bit of milk. And the reason we do this, or whatever liquid you have, you can do this in water, you can do this in milk. The reason you do that is because you want to be able to turn this into a paste. Okay? You don't want entire massive chunks of bread in your meatballs. That's why a lot of people, they immediately opt for breadcrumbs because they don't have to soak it. But we're going to soak it in liquid, and then we're going to break it up. And we're going to make like a little bread mush out of it, essentially. Okay? Is this milk still good? December 30th. Okay, it should be. So, a little splash of milk. You don't have to go too crazy with this. Let's do that much. Kosher salt refers to a specific process called koshering. It's a type of meat preservation. So, kosher salt doesn't innately make something kosher. It's used in both contexts that way, but that's a good point. Okay, and here's what's going to happen. I like making the base for the meatballs first, right? I like making everything that's going to go into the meatballs separately and then mixing it in. So this is where all the seasoning is going to go. This is where, the cheese is going to go. We're going to do some grated Parmesan in here as well. We're going to do some black pepper, and not just some black pepper. We're going to do a lot of black pepper, okay? So get in there. And we're going to make this delicious little paste that's going to season and flavor and tenderize our meat. Black pepper going in. And in fact, we're going to let this actually cool down a little bit before we add the cheese. Because again, the onions were hot. Everything else is going to cool it down. So, you thought we're going to add meat to the hot onions? Not true at all. We're cooling it down first. So, and now I can just take a glove. You can do this with a spoon. You don't have to do it like this. It's not a pretty process. We're going to get in there and we're going to essentially smush up all of this bread. All of this is going to go back into the meatball. And then if we're feeling like it, we'll add an egg. In my experience, meatballs do tend to kind of stay together if you know how to properly mix it through, you know how to properly cream it, but it's okay. Just squeeze it between your fingers, get it in there. You don't have to use bread. You can use whatever starch that you have lying around. I'm sure you can even use rice for something like this. But again, the soaking is pretty important. Can you use gluten-free bread? Yes, because it's not about the protein. It's not about the gluten. That was a good question. It's mostly just about the starch itself and its ability to hold and retain moisture for this meatball, okay? It's not a very pretty process, but this is essential to getting the texture out of the meatball that you want. The more that bread that you add, the softer it's gonna be. Can you use almond milk? Yes, you can use any liquid in this case. You could probably just use water instead. The milk is not essential. The milk is purely because it just would add a nice flavor. But you can do the water. Possum, that is a good question. You've asked me, do you need to cook the rice first or make it down into a powder? I feel like if you add it in like a powder, it's not gonna have the absorption that you're looking for. It's just my guess. Hello, Mr. Mojo Rising. Hope you're having a beautiful day today. Okay, this is going to become easier to break down the more that you actually soak it in. Also, hello, Squidling was taken. So, again, guys, I know it doesn't look too pretty at the moment. It is quite literally just soaked bread and onions together. It does smell quite lovely, and garlic. And now, we're going to need to grate in some cheese. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this glove. We're going to need a bunch of Parmesan, because I want Parmesan on my meatballs. Okay? I think it's going to be delicious. So, I have some Parmesan, and then, once we're done with that, we'll mix in the meat. And again, guys, it's nice to have your paste have all the seasoning. It's nice to have your paste have all of your stuff in it. Because that way, we don't have to really heavily over mix it or anything to get it evenly incorporated throughout the meat. Okay? You just create this now, and if you like add salt a little bit later, you run the risk of having like very unevenly pockets of meat, seasoned pockets of meat. You'll have some that are over salted, and you'll have some that are under salted. So, a little bit of Parmesan. I'm gonna take my microplane out, right? And we're just going to get it in there. I peeled too much of it. I wasn't able to cut it the way I wanted to. Okay. Get it all in there, my friends. Yeah, rice and meatballs can be quite lovely. Guys, again, you want a lot of Parmesan, okay? I love Parmesan meatballs. Especially this one. This is not like a really nice Parmigiano Reggiano or anything. This is just a fairly shitty little, you know, store-bought plastic wrap Parmesan. But, oh shit, I just made a mess. I slipped my hand and I poured it all over my table. Okay, what do you guys think? Is that enough Parmesan to go into the meatballs? I think we'll do a little bit more. Again, it's Parmesan. You can't really go wrong, can you? Okay, what are pronouns in Russian? That's a good question. I actually haven't really thought about it, right? Because in Russian, there is no it is. In Russian, there is no it is. Russian is very interesting when it comes to pronouns and articles. Right? For example, we don't have a concept of the either. More? You guys want more cheese in that? I think that's plenty. In fact, I saw a little piece get in. Okay, I need to clean this up though, because I did manage to make a slight mess all over the place. Yeah, like you have she/her in Russian, but Russian's very interesting because it lacks articles. A lot of the languages don't have like a concept of it. Okay. Is it gendered like Spanish is? Yes, I believe so. Yeah, but ata, eta, is kind of like that. Right? It's kind of like that as opposed to, you know, being like an it per se. You asked me, Squidling was taken, asked me, was I Russian originally? Yes. My parents are Russian Ukrainian. I'm Russian Jewish. Okay, so let me get another glove out. Perfect. Ooh, my table is starting to get a little bit messy. I gotta put some things away. Whoa. I was starting to get like overwhelmed with all the stuff out. And now we're going to mix this up. And we're gonna do some salt in here. Keep in mind that Parmesan is quite salty, especially if you're using Parmigiano Reggiano. So that's going to allow us to not have to do too much salt into the meatballs themselves. Okay, so a couple big pinches. Parmesan, and now the bread has fully soaked through. So it's going to become even easier to smush this together into a lovely little paste. And this is the seasoning paste, my friends. This is the seasoning paste for these beautiful meatballs that we're going to make. If you feel any big clumps, if you feel any big clumps of onion, if you feel any big clumps of bread, you want to break those down now. And it's a lot easier to get this done now than it would be to get it done later on. And in fact, we might even cook a test meatball after we mix it all up to see for seasoning, to see if it needs any more bread or anything, to see what the texture is like, to see if we want an egg inside. We'll see what it's like. We might even do an egg. We might do an egg. But we'll figure that out later. Okay, mix together the seasoning paste. Get all those little lumps out of there. Feel it with your fingertips, okay? Excellent, and it's really, really coming together. This is IMO, the most important component of a meatball, the bread, my friends. Okay? The bread component is what gives it the texture that you're looking for. So, that's all mashed up bread, and now we're adding whatever quantity, whatever amount of meat this actually is. I have no idea. And now we can get in there. This is all the filling for the meatballs, that's right. All this is stuff that's going to go in. And again, it's really nice to do the seasoning paste, the salt, the pepper beforehand, so that it just evenly distributes now alongside the paste, and we minimize any risk, okay, of it being unevenly seasoned. So get in there. Don't worry about over mixing this too much. Just smush it down. The bread's going to take care of all the work for you in terms of getting the texture that you want. What time to let it sit? I don't know. We're just going to let it sit until we're ready to use it. So you do have to keep in mind one thing. The longer you let meat sit, especially ground meat, sit with salt, it tends to pick up a bouncier texture. Think of the texture of a sausage. And also a sausage, like something like boudin, you would have rice in it occasionally. Look at it go. Just smushing it all together. And we're going to fry up a little tiny piece to see where it's at in terms of seasoning. Or, if you're like a real grandma, you could just try a piece of the raw meat on its own. You see a lot of people do that. You see a lot of people do that so they don't have to like fry up a test piece of meat. But again, frying up the test piece of meat I think is an essential step. Or just tasting at any point, because there's no other way to tell how seasoned it's going to be, because it can be quite variable. Yeah, it's not a great idea, but it can get the job done, okay? So this is full of Parmesan cheese, it's full of onions, it's full of garlic. Getting it all in there, getting it all incorporated. And I'm feeling this right now. I'm feeling like maybe an egg would be quite nice in all of this, but we'll see how I'm feeling in a little bit. You're awesome. Oh, I thank you, Candy Flips. It's lovely to have you. Okay, this is going to be a meatball mix. We'll cook it up. We'll see what the texture is like. We'll see if we need to do anything else to it. Okay? Punch it down just to feel a little better about yourself. That's what punching down always does. Beautiful. Okay, let's head to the stove again. Oh, that's quite an angle of my arm, isn't it? Would the egg be for moisture? I feel like yeah, that's mostly for binding purposes. Now, I won't know if it needs any more binding until we actually get a little piece cooked. And for that, my friends, we have this adorable little teeny tiny pan. Perfect for the job. I think one assessment I am gonna make right off the bat. Oh, that's actually way too much oil. I can tell you right now, I feel like it's gonna need some kind of fat inside of it, but we'll see how I feel about it. Okay. What's the lean to fat ratio on ground beef? That's a good question. Oh, let's go back to the stove. My apologies. So Pampute asked me, what's the ideal lean to fat ratio for ground beef? It depends what you're making. If it's a burger, if it's like a really nice burger, I'm talking like 70-30 lean to fat. If you're talking about a really nice thick burger. If it's a thin one, I would do 80-20. I would do 80-20 lean to fat. For the meatball, it can be a little bit more variable because it actually kind of depends on the other stuff that you have inside of it, and it doesn't matter as much for the meatball, is my answer to you. For the meatball, it doesn't matter as much. For, you know, chili and stuff, I do something in the 80-20 range. And then if it's like a steakhouse, like a thick burger, like a bistro burger, then I'll do like a 70-30 ratio. That's my advice to you. Hope that helps and gets you the answer that you're looking for. 60-40 is pretty crazy. 60-40 is like a lot for me. I bite into it and I'm like, ooh, there's a lot going on here. So I'm not a typical 60-40 kind of guy. Okay, where are my paper towels? I set them aside. I'm just gonna clean up a little bit because I had some stuff to get rid of. Man, my pressure cooker still has not built up pressure. Kind of annoying. At what point does the fat end and the meat begin? You can do as much fat as your heart desires. Okay, the pan is hot enough. I'm just gonna spoon out the world's tiniest little meatball. The world's tiniest little test meatball. Okay. Come on, buddy, get out. I should have gotten another spoon to probably spoon it out with. And again, this is purely to check through the seasoning, to check through the texture of it all, and see, will it be a good meatball for us to eat today? I could have cut up the onions a little bit smaller now that I'm looking at it. Am I eating all that in the end? So I live with my mom, so the both of us will be eating it. We'll be having a nice little soup, right? There'll be plenty of soup to go around. Okay, test meatball. This is gonna take so little time to cook up. That is way too much fat for this quantity of meat. I did not need to do that. It's gonna take another minute and it'll be fine. Oh, I was dehydrated. I realized I haven't stopped to take a drink in a little bit. Just cleaning up my station, everybody. Excuse me for a moment. Do I mostly do the cooking? Yes, I am the one that does all the cooking at home. Good question. Jack, that is a personal question. I'm not going to answer that one for you. That is a little too personal. All right. So, that should be ready for us to try. I'm going to pick it up with some chopsticks because why not? Oh, Daramgar, it might be a little undercooked. It's fine. I don't care. If I wasn't on stream, I would have probably just had a piece of raw meat and decided how it was that way. Okay, let's have a little sample. It's okay. Thank you for apologizing. Okay, you did not know. So, let's have a little piece. I'm going to give it a second to cool off because it did just come off the pan. So again, here's what we're looking for. We're looking for salinity. Is this salty enough? We're looking for the bind. Do I feel like it's going to fall apart if I were to cook this anymore? And we are looking for the texture. Is it so soft that it feels like it gives in and it's like a really pleasant meatball? Or is it a little too tough and meat-like still? If it's too tough and meat-like still, we'll do another piece of bread and we'll mix it on in. Oh fuck, that's really good. That was perfect. Guys, that's such a good meatball. That's a really good meatball. Let me tell you something right now. Cooking those onions gives it such a good sweetness throughout the whole thing. That's the perfect amount. I do nail things right away. I have a tendency to do that without needing to adjust things. Salinity is right there where it needs to be. The Parmesan really compensated. That is a delicious fucking meatball. That is a meatball that anybody would be proud of. Wow. I'm pretty happy about that. That, my friends, does not need any further adjustment. Okay. Pretty based. Pretty happy about that. Yeah, that's right. Guys, I'm telling you, cooking down those onions beforehand and adding the bread and soaking it that way and adding a bunch of cheese, you're gonna get the perfect meatball every single time, okay? And if you don't, well, that's for testing it. That's why we test things. And now, we'll go ahead and shape them out. So I'm gonna show you how we shape them. Let's actually get off the cutting board for this. And also, Nixoff asks me, do I dye my hair? I used to, but not anymore. This is just my natural color now. Okay, let's head, my friends, to the cutting board. I'm actually gonna get rid of this food now. We don't have any use for this at the moment. I'm gonna show you exactly what we do. I'm gonna just clean off my station for a second. Okay. Oh, set that aside. Get this out of here. So there's a couple of ways to go about this. You have to think for yourself really quickly. Do you want big meatballs or do you want small ones? Traditionally, meatballs would be pretty small. There are some advantages and disadvantages to each style and each school of thought, okay? Small meatballs, they cook quite quickly and they're nice to have in a soup. Big meatballs, you gotta make them faster. But big meatballs, you run the risk of them sort of breaking apart a little bit easier when they cook. Small meatballs, they tend to hold their shape a little bit better. But I like big meatballs in my soups. I want to be able to bite into it and I really, really want to feel that it's there. This is sort of, it's just easier, right? It's just easier. If you have very little meat to go through, you can make the tiniest meatballs that you want. One gigantic meatball. Oh, that sounds great too. So here's all we're gonna do. I get to use one of my favorite kitchen devices that I haven't gotten a chance to use in a while. I'm gonna show you guys something. This is a cookie scoop. This is something that I love that I picked up in a prep kitchen. This is something that will let you scoop out a pre-portioned amount and then you click it and then it scoops it out for you. You can use this for ice cream. You can use this for cold things, especially like cold mac and cheese, cold beans. I love this thing to portion stuff. I love it to death. It is one of my favorite tools. It is one of my favorites. Okay, so we're gonna grab a couple of gloves because I have eczema and I also don't want to keep washing my hands back and forth, so I'm being a little bit wasteful with my gloves. I'm gonna show you how we do this, my friends. Okay, it's really simple. We're gonna take it, we're gonna ball it, and then we're going to roll it up in our hands after we ball. I'm also gonna get rid of these spoons because we have no use for them. That was a really good meatball. Damn. So, we're gonna take it, we're gonna portion out an amount, we're going to cut off the edges on the sides of the bowl, like this. Okay? Press it down, clean it up, and then out it comes. One big old meatball. These are big balls. We're not messing around today. Take it, get all the excess out of the sides, because again, I don't want to make these too fat. And then we're gonna roll it up. Guys, I love this tool. If you don't have this tool, you are making a mistake for yourself, okay? Get it? Perfect. And then once I'm done with this step, I'm gonna roll all of these up so that they're nice and smooth. And then we're gonna put them in the fridge to chill out. Guys, I haven't had a chance to do meatballs in quite some time. So I'm very, very happy about this. Okay, get the excess out. Press it in, beautiful. Just press it out, get rid of all that. Well, Jack, I'm sorry that you've had a bad day, but I'm glad that I could be of some solace today. Guys, get yourself this tool. This is one of my favorite kitchen tools. Among my favorites are tongs and like a kitchen spatula. These, I think, have a place in every single home kitchen. You need this. If anybody wants to sponsor me, if any cookie scoop company wants to sponsor me, if OXO wants to sponsor me. What's the black strand looking things? Those are the cooked red onions. Yes, and they come in all sorts of sizes too. So for dumplings, you'd want to get like a smaller one, right? If you don't want to just keep scooping these out with 2 different spoons. This is how you get them perfectly exact every single time. Look at these meatballs, huh? Perfect, restaurant shaped. This is what they do in restaurants, right? This is what they have. It's a good tool, and you just clean it up. Okay, how many more do we have left? I think I have enough for like 1 big old meatball. Come on, buddy, get in there. Okay. And then we'll have like 1 little tiny one. Yes, those are cooked red onions because that's what I had. Okay, excellent. Guess what? This plate actually perfectly fit all of my balls. I'm gonna scoop up the last one. Let me see if I can make 1 more just for fun. Yeah, actually I can. It's gonna be slightly smaller than the others, but that's okay. Just getting it all in. That's the last one. Excellent. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and set this bowl aside. I don't really need this at the moment. You can dip your hands in water. You can dip them in oil or something if you don't want these to stick. Too much. And guys, my hair is falling on my face and my hands are currently contaminated, so I can't really do anything about it. You're just going to cup your hands like this. You're going to gently roll them, roll them, roll them, roll them, and you're going to get a beautiful ball. And you're going to keep doing this. And we're going to put them in the fridge so that they stay nice and firm. Right? If they get too warm, they're going to get so soft that they'll just become a little bit of a mess. Don't press these. Don't squeeze these anymore. They've already been pressed and squeezed into oblivion. And these, my friends, are my signature meatballs. Look at this. I love that cookie scoop. It just goes through it so easily. You don't have to worry about fucking with a tablespoon. You don't have to worry about getting it unstuck from a spoon. Look how nice my meatballs look. Don't my meatballs look nice? Somebody please say they look nice right now. I'm very proud of them. Look at the consistency. Oh, I didn't really do the consistency myself. That was just a machine. But look at that. Perfect. And now I'm going to get these gloves off. Okay, you don't have to say it like that. You don't have to say it all weird. Don't say that my balls look nice. Say my meatballs look nice. Okay. So, recap. Guess what? We've accomplished two things. We've completed the meatball filling. We have made it with some sauteed onions, Parmesan cheese, some soaked bread, some salt and pepper. Currently in the pressure cooker, 40 minutes left is my chicken stock, made of whole chicken legs. And then we're going to take the meat out of that. We're going to put some of it into the soup. This I'm going to go ahead and put into the fridge in the meantime. And then I'm also going to adjust my hair when I get a second. And again, we're doing that just so that they stay really nice and firm. You don't want your meatballs to get too warm. Otherwise, it's going to be kind of annoying handling them later on. Okay? Thank you, Candy Flips. Okay. Why don't I use a hat? Well, I'm going to tell you why right now. First of all, I don't like things on my head. That's a good question. You're asking me good questions. I'm so autistic that I hate hats, and I also hate scarves. Even if it's like 30 degrees outside, I'll never have that. Now, as for why I don't use something like a hair tie for a ponytail, not only did I lose all my hair ties, but I also really like how I look without a ponytail. I just like having my hair down. I just feel like I look pretty with it. So, even if it's impractical in a kitchen setting, I don't give a shit. I'm at home. I will suffer by my own hand, by my own choices. It is a little hot in here. I am going to quickly turn off the heater because this kitchen's getting a little warm for my taste. Okay. Hi. Welcome back. Everybody following along so far? We've done most of the work. Meatballs just had to happen in advance so they have a little bit of time to sit and chill out. I'm going to set up my cutting board again. And now we have to think about the vegetables going into the soup itself. Where is my cutting board? Ah, found it. Jack asks me, Chef, would you use the same meatball recipe for the pilmeni as well? No, I would not. Because in the pilmeni, that is a sort of dumpling meat texture. I want it to be nice and chewy. I wouldn't put starch into the meat mixture for the pilmeni. So I would not do this, no. And I wouldn't use Parmesan cheese because that's like the wrong flavor profile. So I won't do that. What does all that happen again? Beautiful question, Tazuraki. In a pressure cooker for the soup itself, we have the stock going, 30 minutes left. Okay? In the fridge at the moment, we have the meatballs that have already been shapen, that they're just chilling out. We rolled them up. They're looking beautiful. And now I have to chop up the vegetables for the soup. Thank you for the question, Tazuraki. Really appreciate it. Okay. Ooh, that was way too aggressive. I want to do like a little tap tap. That was a lot more pep in my step than I was initially anticipating. Okay. We have a carrot. We have a celery. We have an onion. And we got some cauliflower. Chef, what kind of meat are those balls? Asks future gay parent. They were made out of beef. They were made out of beef. So, let's get to this now. Carrot. I love peeling carrots. It's one of my favorite tasks. I'm going to put some gloves back on yet again. Okay? I'm going to get some gloves on just to make my life easier. I have eczema. I don't want to get my hands wet. I really, really don't recommend you guys cook with this many gloves. It is a little bit wasteful. Unless your hands need it, like mine. Are you a pro chef? Asks me Tyrannosaurus. And the answer is, I'm amateur professional. I'm self-taught, but I've technically never been I worked in a restaurant for like a day or two when I was like 13. I'm entirely self-taught. Okay, everybody. Number 1 rule. If you feel like you're struggling to peel something, your peeler isn't sharp enough, throw away, get a nice new one. They're gonna go dull. You can't keep a peeler forever because they're not built necessarily to be sharpened. They're not future-proof. Look how easy this is with a nice sharp peeler. We got it done. So many people, I've seen so many people struggle. They're like, I can't peel this carrot. And they're just like fighting against it. Your peeler is from the 90s. Go buy a new one. It's not doing anything for you anymore. Okay? They're cheap. You'll go through them, depending on how often you cook, depending on how often you peel things. You should do this. You should get yourself a nice peeler. Okay. Guess what? That is Pokemon music in the background. Yes, it is. Because we have nothing but Pokemon lo-fi. Okay. I should have gotten a hair tie today. It's one of those days. So, we're going to talk about how to chop up a carrot, especially for a soup like this. Do I only want 1 carrot? I think I only want 1 carrot. Only want 1. We're going to get a plate where we're going to put all of the vegetables, all of the aromatics for today. Okay? So, I'm going to show you what's happening. So, it can be a family relic, but guess what? I bet it's a pain in the ass to use, so you should keep it and then buy a new one. So, we have a thick section and we have a thin section. We're going to chop these differently. If we were to just slice at it right now, it's not going to give us the even cuts that we're looking for. Okay? So, I'm going to cut it something like this into roughly 2 even sections. And now, how do we slice this? Well, I want to get cubes of carrot. The number 1 mistake that people make, especially when chopping something really hard, is they do nothing but put down vertical pressure. They think that if they just go down hard like an axe, you're going to get a thin slice, and you're not going to ever achieve anything that way. You have to slice, because if you just go straight down, your knife is going to slip out, and you're going to get a weird thin edge. Watch, straight down. Well, actually, this knife is sharp enough that it worked. You need to slice. You can't just use one section of your knife. If I were to take a section from here, and I were to do that, look how it tapered off. Look how it tapered off at the end. Look what happened. This end got super, super thin, and this is the thickness that we want. Okay? Instead of it being a straight plank all the way through. Now, in order to stop that, we just need to slice it, my friends. So you set it down, and you're going to use the full length of your knife. And that way, we get a perfect plank every single time. You need a nice sharp knife, and you need to slice, not chop. This is not an axe. You don't cleave it like one. Beautiful. That's a plank. Beautiful. That's a plank. We're planking. It's just happening now. Excellent. Look at that. Perfect. We're in business. Look at these planks. Nice and even. The amount of, guys, I have a question. How many times have you tried to do this to a carrot? How many times have you tried to get even planks? And you've ended up with a bunch of these thin, weird, jagged pieces. How many times has that happened to you? I bet it's happened to somebody here. Okay? I bet it's happened to some of you. Slice. Slice it. I should probably get some of this stuff out of here, though. Ah! Okay. Let's see if I can get 1 or 2 more out of this. That'll do just fine. Okay. Look at these. Many times. That's what I wanted to hear. Okay. So, let's start with the odd pieces. And the odd pieces would be the ends, right? Any uneven pieces, anything that'll be like a little difficult for us to cut the way we want to. Okay? Those are all the good pieces, and these are the slightly jagged ones. Okay, we're gonna do these first. So, we're just gonna slice these up into planks, okay? And then you gotta think about the size of the cubes of carrot that you want going into your soup. This is what I want. This is how I'm doing it. I don't have a measurement. I just am thinking about the kinds of bites of carrot that I want. That's all that's happening in my mind. Okay? Well, for something like a carrot, the cut that you do on it is pretty important. It's pretty essential. Because you're going to have some pieces that turn into mush, and you're going to have some that are going to be raw on the inside, unless you chop it all up the way it needs to be done. Okay? Something like that. And then the planks, once we've squared them off like that, they can easily be evenly like stacked up and cut together. But these parts, because they're uneven and a little bit jagged, we have to do all of these separately and individually. Okay, so that's why I'm doing it like this right now. And then I can bunch these up once they're in basically matchsticks, like so. And now 1, 2, or batons rather. Lovely. Let's get all these carrots out of here. Use your bench scraper. This is one of my favorite tools in the kitchen. And now, my friends, I have a bunch of these beautiful planks because we got rid of all of the odd pieces. These are the planks that are going to be super easy for us to cut up. You know why? Because we can just stack them. We can stack them and it'll be perfect. So we're going to make a couple stacks. It's kind of difficult to pick it up sometimes. There we go. Excellent. Set that aside. And now we can just do all of this all in one fell swoop. Okay? Hold it down nice and tight. Hold it down nice and tight so it doesn't slip away like that, right? Because that could be a bit of a safety hazard as well. Hold it nice and tight. And look at this beautiful stack of batons. Okay? Square it off on the end. And now we get lovely cubes of carrot. Excellent. Everybody following so far? Everybody understand? Cutting a carrot is serious business. Okay? It's not to be taken lightly, ever. And what we're doing is, we're building the base of the soup. We're building the carrots, the onions, the celery, right? In French, this is called the mirepoix. This is the aromatic trinity, but also it's not really used as an aromatic. It's mostly just because I want pieces of this in my soup. Okay? That's all done. And we just take them, we rotate them, we stack them up, and we slice them up again. Perfect cubes. And again, this is why we did the odd pieces beforehand. We did like those little weird rounded ends and stuff because we can't actually stack them like this. But now we did it, and that is all of the carrot that we need for today's soup. Now, and again, those cutting gadgets, they're like for specific, like if you have some certain accessibility needs, that, you know, would be good for that, but they can't be sharpened. They're not particularly future-proof or anything, right? And a knife ultimately gets the job done. If it feels difficult to use a knife, that's because you don't either have the technique built up, you're going too fast, or it's not sharp enough. Chef, how old are you? Asks Jack. I'm 21. I'm 21 years old. I think it's funny that your mom asked you to ask that. Okay, celery. Let's peel it. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you something really cool. You see these fibrous bits on a celery? They're really pronounced when they're raw. Take these out. Take these out. You see these little bits here? This is the part of celery that gets stuck in your teeth. I hate it. It's really, really unpleasant to me. It's one of my least favorite things. She said 24. Do I look like I'm 24? I didn't mean that in a rude way. I was just like, actually, that was a genuine reaction of like, do I look like I'm 24? Most people think I'm 16. It doesn't feel too good. Okay, so you break that off, and then you're just able to peel off all of these fibrous bits. That is indeed a Kramer. Good question, Chicken Dumpy. Look 18. All right, that's fine. That works. But yes, I am 21 years old as of November. Okay, so celery. We're going to chop this up into some nice batons like so. I don't love having too much celery, so we're only doing the 2 sticks, I guess. Nothing crazy, guys. It's the same exact idea as we did the carrots, right? We're chopping these up into sticks. And then we're going to cut these up into little cubes. Russians don't get old. It's also the estrogen. It's also the estrogen that I take. That's right. It does make you not age. Okay. And now, my friends, we just build up the stack, and then we get these beautiful little cubes of celery. Look at that. Excellent. This is all going into a soup. This is going to be the body. This is going to be the soul of the soup, my friends. Okay? A nice aromatic base of vegetables to bite into. And remember, we use the scraps. We use the tops and the bottoms of the carrots and the celery in the stock already. So none of that is going to waste. And I'm also thinking I wanted some tomato in the soup, so I have some tomato paste. That's going to get fried in there as well. Okay, that's all done. Take a load of this. Get a load of this guy, huh? We have some of the celery, some of the carrot, nicely cubed up. And now let's focus on Mr. Onion. We have 1.5 onions, one of the red ones. It's okay, guys, even if the... Look, I see people all the time say, oh, you shouldn't use red onions in a soup, Daramgar. It's going to stain it red. And you know what I say to that? You know what I say to that? I don't care. It does not matter. If the soup turns slightly red because of the onion, it's not an issue at all. It is actually just not a problem. Okay? Use what you have available too. I'm not going to go out of my way to go buy more onions just because somebody said don't use red onions in a soup. I don't care. I just do not care. Okay, we're going to do about a medium dice. So I'm making some incisions along the onion once again. Just like so. And then medium dice looks something like this to me. We're just trying to match the size of the other vegetables that we have. Okay? It's just that different cultures use different onions. They come from different places. But the taste, for the most part, the ones that are quite distinct to me in taste are red onions and Vidalia onions. The other ones, they do tend to kind of blend into each other. But alliums, at the end of the day, are really, really interchangeable. Okay? Nice little medium dice. And once again, guys, if anybody ever has any questions about anything that I'm doing, please feel free to ask. I love answering questions. It's my favorite. Okay. Yeah, it's fine. It's really fine. I just like using red onions for pickled onions because they look really pretty that way. We're going to cut the head off. Once again, we're keeping the root intact. We're going to slice this bad boy in half. Perfect. Then we're going to peel it up yet again. Come on, buddy. It is sticking to the peel today. Holy shit. It doesn't want to come off. Are you serious? Do you understand that we're doing this live on camera? Okay. Off it came. Let's do the next one now. Sweet. We're getting all of the prep done in advance, my friends. Okay? We're getting all of this stuff done now so that we don't have to do it in the middle of cooking. We don't have to babysit the stock. That can just go, right? And by the time we're done with this, we're going to start cooking the vegetables. The stock is going to be ready for us too. So, medium dice. So, Nixoff asks, do you put full onion in the scoop? In the soup, just peel skin and put it? What do you mean? Are you talking about if I do like whole boiled onions in a soup? That's the way we growing up did our stocks and stuff. But I don't really do that because I like biting into little pieces of it. So I don't particularly do that. I don't think it's really necessary. You can do that if you really want a lot of onion flavor in your broth, but the thing is this, I'm usually always cooking with onions anyways, so I don't really need more onion flavor in my broth. You can do some onion peels in there if you like wash up the onion peel. And also Jack asks me, have I ever cooked duck before? Yes, I've cooked duck loads of times. It is one of my favorites. It's one of my favorite meats. I love it to death. I really do love duck. It's so meaty, and I love the texture. I love the bite of it. I love duck legs. I love duck breast. I love duck fat. Okay, almost done. With the onion, and then we gotta do some garlic as well. Okay. Excellent. Guess what? We have officially done most of the prep for the soup. We've already made the meatballs. The stock is almost done. The onions have officially been chopped up. Get a load of this. Look at all this. Beautiful. All of this is going to go into the soup itself. Okay? And we're going to cook it in butter first. We're not just going to boil this. We're going to cook it in some butter. We're going to give it a little bit of color. We're going to give it a little bit of flavor that way. When am I going to make borscht, asks Nick. And that's a good question. Borscht has never really been one of my favorites, mostly because I don't love beets. I think beets are fine. I've never been too crazy about them or anything. Also, I'm gonna quickly wash my knife because again, this is a carbon steel knife. You gotta wash and wipe it off pretty often so that it doesn't rust or anything. I'm gonna take a second to clean some stuff up. Okay, my knife is officially washed off. I'm gonna wipe it down now, make sure it's nice and dry. You're a huge fan of borscht if you've never had it? Plov with some duck meat, that sounds good. I love plov to death. I love it. Okay, we've done a lot of the prep work that we needed for today. My goodness. I think we can begin starting to cook some stuff. And now we do have to start thinking about and choosing our vessel for the soup. And I think I might just do it in my Dutch oven. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do this in the Dutch oven because I'm looking at that quantity of broth, I'm looking at the quantity of chicken, and I'm like, I think we're gonna need to find a way to make all of this stuff fit, okay? We gotta find a way to make it fit. So, let's head to the stove. Boop. I'm gonna get rid of this pan. Yeah, I was gonna originally use that, but then I looked at my amount of vegetables and I decided against it. So, my beautiful Dutch oven, there she is in all of her glory. We're gonna set it down. Look at this thing go. Okay, everybody, we're gonna do my lecture once again on how to take care of a Dutch oven and what to do and especially what not to do. This is one of the most misused pieces of kitchen equipment. The Dutch oven, the humble Dutch oven, you know what people do with it? They take it, they blast it onto the heat without any oil, and then they ruin the surface, and they use metal tools on it. Unacceptable, absolutely unacceptable. Everybody, you're going to damage the enamel coating over time if you do it that way. We never heat it up empty, we always heat it up with a little bit of fat, we always heat it up with something inside of it. Okay, so we're going to heat it up in this case with a little bit of butter and olive oil both because I want the flavor of both. And we're going to cook everything inside of it that way. And if you ever feel like your Dutch oven's not hot enough, just heat it on a medium heat. Don't heat it on a super high heat. You'll damage the enamel every time. Treat this like you would a nonstick pan, in a way. Okay, it's a little bit more durable, but treat it like a nonstick pan. So, we're gonna start with some olive oil. I'm gonna turn the heat on. Medium heat, bunch of olive oil, because we're making a bunch of soup. Okay? And then we're gonna do a good chunk of butter as well. But the butter we're gonna add later on because the butter has the highest probability to burn. So we don't really want to allow the butter to heat up alongside the olive oil as long. So Nick's off asking me, what is my best soup? Oh, I have a lot of good soups. Every soup I make is good. But what is my best one? I'm gonna have to think about that. Okay, actually, while that's heating up, we have a couple of other things we do need to do. We do need to also prep the cauliflower. The cauliflower is not going to get fried or anything. That's just going to get tossed in and cooked in the water. It's going to take about 20 minutes for the cauliflower to cook. We don't want to overcook cauliflower. You have to be careful with things like cauliflower and kale, or cabbage, because they can get really smelly, right? So, for the cauliflower, it's going to be really simple. I'm going to show you what we do. Number one mistake that people make when they're cutting up cauliflower, this is already semi-cut up, is they take a knife to the head of it. They take a knife to the florets. People do this with cauliflower and people do this with broccoli. And then if you do that, you're going to get a bunch of little pieces all over your cutting board. Okay? And so, we're not going to do that. All that we really need to do is just split it in half. We can just split up the florets, or you just take a knife and cut it halfway down the floret, and it will naturally split into pieces. I love cauliflower. Love it. Can't get enough of it. So, I'm going to start building a plate where the cauliflower is going to go. I think I'm just going to throw it onto this one. And again, I'm throwing the cauliflower in because I want to get rid of it, and I love cauliflower in soups. It's one of my favorites, and I can't get enough of it. Okay. So guys, again, really, really simple stuff. Really simple. Okay? You don't want this to break apart. You're just going to cut it like this, just like that, and then you're going to split it that way. And it doesn't make a mess. That's all you need to do. Wonder Willie asks if you can have one meal for the rest of your life. It's going to be rice and beans. I love rice and beans to death. So take it, split it, just like so, my friends, and let it do its thing. Let it fall into florets like this. So the cauliflower, I'm only going to put it into the water directly. I'm only going to put in the soup directly. The other vegetables I'm actually going to saute, but not this one. Because we're not going to build up enough color on it. It's just going to release its liquid. If I was going to try to get color on it, I would char it in the broiler, okay? But we're just never going to get color on it that way. And it would overcook. So, ooh, this one I actually don't think I can just keep that the size that it is. Just split it apart. Slice it and split it apart. Beautiful. And that way, my friends, look, we were able to keep like this little bit of cauliflower dust to a minimum on our workspace. Okay. And it's eventually you'll always get some pieces, but such is life. It happens. I sliced down too much and I made a little bit of a mess. Oh no. Okay, this piece is still too big for my taste. This is a soup. I only want big meatballs, but all the vegetables I want pretty small. Okay? This is a mother load. Yeah, no gloves, because I'm not really like going in there and slicing it a bunch. I'm just breaking this up into florets. Right? Okay, I can feel that olive oil. I can smell it. I can smell it heating up quite a bit. So, I'm going to head back to the stove. Okay, back to the stove we go. And now, that olive oil is really nice and hot. Okay, we're gonna do a big chunk of butter. Big old chunk of butter. You can't ever have too much butter. For the vegetables. And add it right into the oil. And again, if we were to heat it up this whole time, we would have risked browning the butter a little bit too much. Okay? Let's head back over here. I'm gonna grab a coaster. We're just gonna melt that butter into the oil. And now we have enough oil for all the vegetables. You can't have too much fat in a soup. Okay? Well, actually you can. You can definitely make it greasy, but I love the butter. I love the olive oil. I can't get enough of it personally. This, I'm actually just gonna set back to where it belongs. I don't have any use for it. Okay, and now you don't want that butter to brown or anything. So now is gonna be the point where we add all the vegetables. Okay? All the carrots, all of the onions, and all of the celery, my friends. We're gonna cook it down and we're gonna get a bunch of color on it, is the hope. Mix it up. And again, never, no metal tools in your Dutch oven. I see people do that all the time. I see people do it all the time. It's a mistake. So you might be asking me also, why aren't we using just butter? Well, if we were to use just butter, we risk it burning by the time we get enough color on the vegetables. We don't want that. Bunch of salt, bunch of black pepper. We gotta remember to buy kosher salt. And then in time, we're also gonna add some garlic, but at the moment, we just really wanna fry these vegetables. We wanna get some nice color on it, okay? So leave it alone. Stop mixing it around. Let it be. Let it do its thing. Chef has a Bob Ross vibe today. What does that mean? Guys, do I have a Bob Ross today? Bob Ross vibe today? Oh, is it because it was like a happy little accident? Is that one? Yeah. I understand. Okay, I'm just transferring the cauliflower to a different plate. We're gonna finish this up. So just split it. Just split it. Let it do its thing. I wish I had some potato for the soup, but the cauliflower will be a sub-in for the potato today, sadly. I didn't have any potatoes to get rid of. And guys, this is a really good stew, because a really good soup. I'm getting rid of all these chicken pieces. I'm getting rid of the ground beef that I've had lying around. I'm getting rid of the Parmesan. I had all of this stuff already sitting at home. And I need to do something with it fast. So, guess what? I'm making soup. Okay. I love cauliflower so much. The best. Okay, that's all done. And And now I'm gonna just dump out my trash bowl. We're gonna just clean up this cutting board really quickly. Set your knife aside somewhere, get it out of the picture, take it and clean it up. We don't need those little pieces. Okay, last step is gonna be mincing up some garlic. And the broth is also almost done. It's about 12 minutes out. I'm gonna take a second to just throw some stuff into the dishwasher. So I'm gonna have a second to do that. Once again, guys, we made the stock. It's pressure cooking away. We're making really beautiful, delicious little chicken stock. We made the meatball mixture with the sauteed onions, with the bread, with the Parmesan cheese. We're currently sauteing the vegetables, the carrots, the onions, the celery. We're about to mince up some garlic as well. And we've already cut up the cauliflower for the soup. It's a really, really simple soup today. But it's going to be packed full of flavor because we're getting a delicious, concentrated stock. Okay. The vegetables, we're starting to cook out some of the water. We're mixing it up a little bit. We're spreading it out nice and even. We're not shaking it so we don't scratch the bottom of the Dutch oven or anything. It tastes like sauteing vegetables. Delicious. Will I use wine, asks Jack. And the answer is, it's actually not a bad idea. Let me see if I have any wine. I do have some red wine. Huh. You know what? Oh, shit. There is something I forgot. I want to do some lemon in the meatballs. I want to do some lemon zest inside of the meatball. Oh, no. You know what? I bet I could probably just like saute some of the lemon zest with these vegetables and it would be fine. Okay, we'll get to that. That's a good recommendation for the wine. And the answer is no, I'm just gonna do lemon juice. We're gonna do lemon juice for a little bit of extra acidity. I don't wanna do red wine in this, just a feeling I have in the moment, no particular reason. But I know that I am missing acidity. That is gonna be the lemon juice's job. So we'll get to all of that in a little bit. Just tossing that away into the dishwasher. Getting all that done now, so I don't have to worry about it later on. Especially the ground meat. That's like not something that you want to leave out drying, because then it's just going to become super, super difficult to clean later on in the process. Okay? So just get that kind of stuff done now, get it out of the way, and you won't have to think about it again. Okay. Yes. Yeah. In November, I wasn't, I mean, I was still cooking with wine on Twitch and nobody stopped me. So I guess it was fine back then too. But yeah, on November, for my birthday stream, I had like a little glug of wine to myself. All right, the vegetables are going. They look excellent. This is going to be the base for this lovely soup. And it smells great. It smells like carrots, onions, and celery. You can't go too wrong. Am I planning on doing a Christmas Eve stream, asks Duolingo has my family? And the answer is maybe. It's not a bad idea. I don't know what my Christmas plans are. I might go see somebody. I don't know. Definitely not a bad idea. Okay. So, we have a couple more things to do. The stock has about 8 minutes left on it. Before that happens, I want to juice up a lemon. I want to get the zest of the lemon and I want to get some garlic done. So, let's do that right now. Let's head back to the cutting board. Do a Hanukkah stream? I have no idea what I would do for a Hanukkah stream. I have not celebrated a Jewish holiday in quite some time. Okay. I want some garlic. And this is Italian American stew, a little Italian American soup. I want some fucking garlic. All right. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. This is a bunch of cloves. I don't know, like 5, 6. Can't have too much garlic. An egregious amount. Excellent. Oh, and I was also going to do a little bit of tomato paste in there just to stain the whole thing a little red, just to give it a little bit more meatiness to it. And we'll also do a splash of soy sauce. Not so much that you can taste it, but just enough soy sauce to give this whole soup a little bit more oomph. Okay? Because it's very vegetal. It's a very, very vegetable heavy stew. Oh, that's great. I'm so glad they can call you chef. Everybody calls me chef. You understand the joy the pleasure of such a thing now. Okay, so same exact procedure. All we're going to do, we're going to first go through all of the garlic. We're going to smash it down. I'm going to put on gloves for this because it gets quite sticky quite fast. Smash it all down, my friends. All of this is going to go into the soup. It might be overkill, but I like garlic, so you can't go wrong. Okay. Just because it gets quite sticky. I don't think I'm going to need my chef's knife again, so I should probably wash that up once I'm done with this process. 6 more minutes until the stock can come off, and then we're going to strain out the stock, and we're going to take the chicken out, and we're going to try to shred up that meat and add it back in. But this is not a chicken soup. This is a meatball soup, so I don't even know if we'll do the shredded chicken inside of it. I'm still contemplating that. That is still one aspect of this I have not yet decided. What do you all think? Do you think both shredded chicken and meatballs? Or should I use like the shredded chicken another day, maybe make a salad out of it or something, throw it into my fridge, and just use the stock for the soup? I don't know. I can't tell what I'm feeling right now, so I'm asking for external input. Because the shredded chicken would be nice, except I'm just really thinking about meatballs right now. I'm just really excited. I'm not excited to eat bits of shredded chicken in a soup. I'm just excited to get the bits of meatball. Okay, the bottom of this is getting quite dark. My heat might be a little bit too high. You want to be careful to make sure you don't burn the bottom. Building up some color is good, but you don't want to burn it or anything. So scrape it up, mix it back through all the vegetables. Okay, and let it go. And now is the point where, once again, it can burn, so just keep an eye out on it. You don't want to get too crazy with it. Oh, you redeemed hydrate. Thank you for the reminder, Zio. Okay. Garlic. Into the presser it goes. We got to go through all of this garlic, my friends. We got a lot to go through. Okay, we might do both. I'll see. I'll look at the shredded chicken and then I'll decide. I'll make a decision later on. I don't have to do that in this moment. Okay, that is all of the garlic. Let's get that out of there. Let's pull that out. All of the nicely minced up and smashed garlic. I can get rid of this now. And again, wash the garlic press now and poke it with a brush. Make your life a lot easier, so there's no dried bits stuck inside. Okay, check on the vegetables again, because it's getting quite dark on the bottom. Okay, it does look really nice. Now would be the point. It's great. It's just sauteed vegetables and fat. You can't go wrong. Now it's going to be the point where we add the garlic in, okay? So we're going to add the garlic, then we're going to add the tomato paste, and then we're going to deglaze the whole thing with a splash of soy sauce. And the soy sauce, we're not going to feel it. It's just to give the whole soup a little bit of extra meatiness. Get all of that garlic inside. Have it perfume the whole thing. Excellent. Scrape up the bottom, get it all back inside. And now we're doing a big old squeeze of tomato paste. I don't want this to become tomato paste like heavy. I don't want this to become a tomato paste soup. I just want a little bit in there to just give the whole thing a little bit of extra flavor. Okay? Get it in there, distribute it. You want to fry the tomato paste as much as you reasonably can. Even it up. And again, the soy sauce, not traditional. It's just to give the whole thing a little bit more meatiness. Okay? What do you... So, Nick Soff, I'm a little bit confused about what your question is. Are you asking how do I feel about like prepackaged bouillon? The answer is, for like powdered bouillon and stuff, I really do like it. It has its uses. It's helpful in a pinch. It's really nice for making beans, especially. But what I hate is boxes of stock. I hate box stock. I hate box stock. I hate canned stock. I just love powdered bouillon. That's all I keep in my pantry, but I'll never keep boxed, pre-made stock at home. That's just redundant and takes up a lot of space, and it's way too expensive at the store. There's no reason for pre-canned or box stock to exist, in my opinion. Just use a powdered one. Okay, splash. That much dark soy sauce. And this is just for us to cook it off, for us to deglaze the bottom, to scrape up whatever is at the bottom. We can turn off the heat. We don't want the soy sauce to burn. Mix it through the vegetables. Make sure there's not too much of it on one side. Just a little bit. Okay? It looks dark now, but once we add the stock, it's going to be perfect. Excellent. And that, my friends, is the perfect base for a lovely soup that we have coming up ahead of us. And guess what? The pressure cooker has exactly 1 minute left on it. So we have timed this immaculately. We have timed this perfectly. All right? I'm going to take a second. I'm going to put some things away. I can get rid of some stuff that I have no use for anymore. Like, for example, butter. Yum. Got the garlic away. We got the garlic done. There's a lot of garlic that went in here. Just keep scraping up the bottom even after we turn off the heat. Remember that a Dutch oven stays hot. Okay. And we have all of the vegetables cooked down. And guess what? The pressure cooker is also done. So, we're releasing the pressure. That's going to take a minute. Howdy, your ears perked up. Happy to see you. And I am going to clean up my knife one last time. All right, everybody. So let's do a little recap. We have just completed the stock. The stock itself: chicken, bay leaves, black pepper, a little bit of carrot, a little bit of celery, a little bit of garlic. We have finished making the stock. We're releasing the pressure on it now. We're going to take the stock and we're going to put it in, of course, our soup base that we just made. We sauteed some carrots, some onions, some celery, some garlic with a little tomato paste and a little splash of soy sauce just to give it some meatiness. We chopped up the cauliflower, and most importantly, we made the meatball mix. We made the meatball mix that we need for today's lovely soup. Okay? We've already shaped it out. It's filled with sauteed onions. It has breadcrumbs. It has Parmesan cheese. It's delicious. It's delectable. Okay? Just yapu is good? Okay, that sounds good to me. How do I say Daramgar? Just like that. Daramgar. Okay. So sounds by texture said, I made Palestinian couscous, or what was that? I don't actually know what maftool is recently. So good. I do love couscous, but I don't know what maftool is, if you'd love to tell me about that. Just taking a second to wipe off my table. I'm going to show you all the lovely stock that we've made. Okay? It's going to be full of flavor. It's going to be delicious. I don't think I need a cutting board for anything else, but I'm just going to set it aside just in case there is something that I've forgotten. Because I do forget things from time to time. I am a human. Okay, just wiping this down because there is some butter. I don't think I need this anymore. So I'm putting all of this stuff away too. And again, sauteing the vegetables a little bit and getting a little bit of color on it. Not totally necessary for the soup, but it's just nice. Right? You bring out the sweetness, you evaporate some of the excess liquid. You get to really concentrate the flavors of it all. And we'll add the lemon juice and the lemon zest in a little bit later into the soup itself. I want nice and lemony. Maftool is a type of couscous. I see. I was not aware. Thank you for telling me. Okay. Everybody, guess what? The stock is officially done. So let's set up the station for it. I'm going to show you what it looks like right now. This, I'm going to, ooh, that is a hot pan. Ouch. I just burnt my fingers on it. That is all the vegetables that we need for the soup. I'm taking off the pressure cooker lid now. And I'm about to show you guys this lovely stock that we've made. Okay? Ah, gorgeous. Really nice and concentrated. This is only 2.5 liters with quite a bit of chicken relative to it. And this is it. And so, here's what we need to do. We just need to go in there, and we need to ladle in some of this beautiful stock into the rest of the soup that we've made. So, that is still hot. I've forgotten during this time. Ouch. My poor hands. Okay, here's all we need to do. We're going to go in there, and we're going to ladle in as much stock as I feel like we'll need for today. It's very nice and clear. It's really simple. Let's try not to press the skin or the carrots or anything, because we want to keep it clear. We want to keep it that way. It's really concentrated. It's really meaty. It's full of chicken flavor. And then once the chicken leg's cool, we'll decide, do I want shredded chicken meat in all of this? Oh, I see a black peppercorn inside. Be careful for those. Those you definitely do not want in there. Okay? And again, I'm going to use this, whatever like stock is left for something else. Maybe. Well, actually, I might just need all of it for today. It is a really concentrated stock. It's only 2 liters. Yeah, I think I might use all of this right now. Okay. Bit by bit, getting it inside. I apologize if I can't see your messages in a moment, but I want to feel it. Even if I can't see it, I want to feel it. Does everybody follow? I want to hear a collective yes, chef. I want to feel it in my bones. From everybody watching right now. Okay. Or if you're watching like a VOD of this, I guess just say it out loud in your room. Or you could also comment it. That'd be pretty funny if people in my YouTube comments just started saying yes, chef, like out loud by themselves. That'd be a good development. Okay, so we are just using all of this stock, is what I've realized. We are using all of it. It's really concentrated. Feel free to dilute it if necessary. Okay? If it's too intense, if it's not enough liquid. But I, for one, am quite glad that it's as concentrated as it is. This is going to be quite difficult to get this portion without straining it. Okay, we'll come back to that. It'll be easier to deal with a little later on. Am I going to burn my hands again? The answer is yes. Ouch. Okay, that, my friends, is the beautiful base for this soup. Full of vegetables, full of the carrots, the onions, the celery. We're putting it back onto a heat. I could have done this in a small pot. I think I firmly could have done this in a small pot. But guess what? We live and learn. Is this YouTube channel the same name? It's just Daramgar. It's a dollar VODs. Follow the stuff on Twitch. There should be a link to the VODs channel. And that's where you can watch all the stuff that's been recorded and saved for your convenience with a lovely little thumbnail. Okay, so there is one thing we do need to do still, and that is strain stuff out. Yeah, because I don't want to waste any of the stock. We worked quite hard to build it up. We want it to come to a boil again. Be careful not to slide this around. You don't want to scratch that. Okay? We're going to take a nice fresh pair of tongs. And what we're going to do is we're going to take out the chicken legs. We're going to put that all onto a plate. We're going to let it cool off enough that we could potentially shred it. We can look at it. We can think about it. And I am just going to get this stuff onto a plate. The chicken is already shredding and falling apart. It's been cooked down. I just want to get the big pieces, the big bones out of here. Okay, that'll do just fine. That'll do nicely even. Come on, buddy. Up you go. And it fell apart. Yeah, I kind of want some shredded chicken in this. Definitely not all of it. That is an egregious amount of chicken. Okay. We did that, and now let's pour in the rest here. Yeah, we saved all that stock just now. We made sure it didn't go to waste. We're gonna get it out of there now. And we're done skis. Excellent. Okay, my friends, guess what? That soup is going. It looks pretty excellent, if you were to ask a guy like me. We're gonna taste this now. We're gonna taste this for seasoning, and I'm gonna decide, do I wanna dilute this? There is a part of me right now that is thinking that it wants to dilute this because I feel like this is not enough soup. And I feel like this is too concentrated now. This is not an often issue that I have. I feel like I'm usually left with too much liquid. But let's give it a little taste. That is flavorful. That is a very flavorful soup. That is delicious, my friends. Let's also look at the meatballs in the meantime. Guys, I'm telling you, just that chicken stock itself, even without the meatballs or anything, wow. So let's look at the meatballs. And now we have to decide the order of operations. We have to think about how long is each component going to take to cook. These are the meatballs. Look how much love we gave them. Look how much love we gave them in shaping them. We made them the way they are today. The stock is already made. The last two things that we have to do are to fully soften the vegetables, to fully cook those through now, and to be able to cook through the meatballs. Now the meatballs, here's my guess. The meatballs need about 10 to 15 minutes to cook. They can cook as long as you want them to, but in my opinion, for this thickness, about 15 minutes. The cauliflower is gonna take 20 minutes to cook. So here's the idea. We're gonna add the cauliflower in now, set a timer for 20 minutes, and then after 5 minutes have passed, we'll drop in the meatballs one by one and give them a lot of love. All right? The stock I've tasted right now, it's pretty delicious. The cauliflower is gonna release some of its own liquid, so we'll gauge the moisture after the addition of the cauliflower. But I have a feeling we're gonna need some more water. Does everybody follow? Everybody understand? Good. So let's head back to the stove. Do we put them in a pan or in the stock? We're just gonna put them directly in the stock and we're gonna leave them alone. We don't wanna mix them up too much after we put it into the stock or anything. So this is all going in now. I have a feeling, I don't think I want the chicken in this. Mix this in. Big old piece of the cauliflower in there. I love cauliflower to death. It's also gonna need some salt. We're gonna do a little salt now, and then we'll taste it after. Meatballs themselves, they were perfectly seasoned, but some salt is also gonna leach out of them and into the rest of the stock as well, okay? It's nice that we did let it sit though. Letting it sit did give us a little bit of an advantage. Okay, do I have space for this? Or if I run out of space in my dishwasher? Okay, I do have space for that still. Okay, we set a timer for 20 minutes. We do have to bring this up to a boil again though. So we're gonna turn up the heat and we're gonna slap a lid onto it. Hello, Bartek. It's good to see you. Hello, hello. So we're gonna slap a lid on this bad boy. Oh, actually, first I forgot. I was gonna do some salt. Also, thank you so much for the sub. It's good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Get primed. I got primed. It's over for me. So, about 5 minutes for the cauliflower. And then we'll go in one by one with the meatballs. And now, guys, once again, I've realized, in my attempts to do a stew, in my attempts to do a soup, I forgot about the boiling phase, the cooking phase. And I realized, oh shit, I don't have anything to do in the meantime again. How'd this happen to me? I could fry the meatballs separately. You could brown them, but look, if it's a meatball soup, personally, I'm not a big advocate of frying meatballs for meatball soup. It's boiled, it's a simple soup, you keep it simple that way. We have to find some way to occupy time. Do push-ups? It's been so long. Fortnite dances? Jesus Christ. Hello, Dr. Slowbro. It's good to see you. Hope you're having a good day today. Okay, are we back up to a boil? We are back up to a boil. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Also, thank you so much from the Death Owl for the sub. Really appreciate it. And now we have a hype train. Oh, I forgot that I made the hype train text really, really sad. Let's play some chess? Oh, everybody's throwing so many suggestions at me, guys. I can't keep up. There's a lot going on here. Okay. Look at my meatballs. I'm so proud of them. Let's do one more recap, and then I'm gonna wash a couple of dishes. Let's talk about my meatballs. So, we sauteed some onions, and again, that's a very intentional step. We get the sweetness out of the onion that way, okay? And we reduce it so that there's no excess moisture in it. We don't want it to sort of dilute the rest of the meatball. It's filled with some bread that we've soaked in a bit of milk. And the bread is an essential component in meatballs. You can't have meatballs without a starch. The bread is what actually makes it really, really nice and soft. Okay? We added a bunch of Parmesan cheese, some garlic, some black pepper, and some salt. And we mixed in the ground beef, and there we go. The stock currently, the soup at the moment, I'm going to show you guys. We've added the cauliflower in just now. We made a stock separately in the pressure cooker. We did it with a bunch of chicken. We added some bay leaf, some black peppercorns, some garlic, some carrot scraps, and some celery scraps. And we filled it with water, of course. What just fell? Oh, was it my tongs? I think my tongs fell. I see. And then I sauteed the vegetables, the carrots, the onions, the celery, and a bunch of olive oil and butter. I added in some garlic, I added some tomato paste, and the tiniest little splash of soy sauce just to give the whole thing a little bit more oomph. And now you have to be careful. The biggest thing that you don't want to do here, you don't want to overcook this cauliflower. 20 to 30 minutes is my ideal cook time for cauliflower. That's how you get the sweetness out of it without getting that really, really like sulfuric, nasty smell out of it as well. Okay? Make sure you're scraping up the bottom because there was some stuff there from before. I see that we have a whole black peppercorn. Also, thank you so much for the sub from, I don't want to call you up. I'm just going to call you, your ears perked up every single time. Thank you so much. It's very sweet of you. Everybody's coming through at the moment. And I guess the only thing we have left to do, there is one step, which is we have to zest and juice the lemon because I want some acidity. We have a lot of meat, we have a lot of fat and something like this. We have a lot of vegetables. A little bit of acidity in the form of the lemon is going to be, in my mind, an extremely, extremely welcome addition. Okay? So first step, I'm actually just going to taste my broth again. I'm telling you, everybody, that soup is so flavorful. That stock that we made is so meaty. It's so concentrated. I love it. It is the best. Okay. Let's head back over here. I'm going to set my meatballs aside. And we can add the lemon juice basically at any stage that we really want. There is no like method to something like this. We could even do it even directly over the pot or something. But I have to do it separately because we have to catch the seeds. We have to catch the seeds when we do juice it. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it over here. Let's do it over here. I'm going to do this over... We still have the cutting board. That's still dirty. I may as well use that. Okay. We're going to take our zester. And it has some Parmesan left over on it still, but that's fine. We're going to garnish the top of the soup with some more Parmesan. I'm going to take the lemon. I'm going to slap on a glove on my hands because I'm going to juice these soon as well. And the zest we can toss in now. Actually, there is one more step. It's going to be slicing the basil. I do want to slice some basil for this. Because I was thinking it'd be really nice to have basil as a garnish for this. By the way, the timer did hit 15 minutes. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to zest and juice the lemon. And then as soon as I can, I'm going to get the meatballs dropped inside. Okay? That's what needs to happen. The meatballs, they take about 15 minutes. The cauliflower in total takes about 20 minutes. So you have to compensate for that. So, lemon zest. We're going around it. We're getting all that aromatic skin. This is just for aroma reasons. And then the juice itself is going to be for the acidity that we talked about before. Okay? So Nixoff asked, can you take the bread pieces and... I'm not doing the idiot sandwich bit on camera. You know why? Because we don't respect Gordon Ramsay here. That's why. We don't even think his bits are funny in this chat. So, all this lemon zest. Let's pop it in. Bam. Just like that. I'm going to go ahead and slice my lemon in half. I'm going to want all of that juice inside. Okay? This is an essential component for me. This is not a question. You need to have some sort of acidity. You can do vinegar, you can do lemon juice, you can use, I don't fucking know, if you really want citric acid. Just for fun, I guess. We're gonna start with half a lemon's worth of juice, and then we'll decide how it's going. Okay, half a lemon's worth of juice. Take all the seeds out. Great. And then we're gonna drop the meatballs in while we're at it. We're gonna stir all of this stuff up. And when we add the meatballs, we can't stir this anymore. When we add the meatballs, they're gonna be very, very delicate and they're gonna be really fragile for the first about 15 minutes of cook time. So, I'm gonna head to the stove. Yet again, my friends. The lemon zest makes it really nice and aromatic. The lemon juice makes everything really nice and acidic. And now, we go in with the balls. So again, you don't want to stir these after you add them in. Tuck them in. You're going to splash some liquid on it, that's fine, but you do not want, under any circumstances, to start stirring this when we do this until they're cooked. They're fragile, they're delicate. If your meatballs start breaking up, it's because you've started to turn and mix them too much before they're actually done cooking. So we're nestling them in, we're tucking them in, and we're going to kiss them good night. Look at them go. Look at that, perfect. Tucked inside, tucked inside, tucked inside. And then we'll flip them over once we have a second to do so. But do not stir these. Do not stir these even when they're halfway done. We're going to gently flip them over. You have to be delicate. That's right. They're fragile. They're delicate. You don't want to... You're breaking my meatballs over here. Right? We're not trying to do that. What if there's a zombie apocalypse? I don't fucking care. Close the door. Don't stir your meatballs. Even under the most dire circumstances, you're just not going to do it, buddy. It's just not going to happen. This is critical, all right? Everybody, this is mostly the soup already. Now, I guess the last thing that we can do, if you really want, maybe like a little piece of toast. When we're like 10 minutes out, maybe like 9 minutes out. We'll do like a little bit of toast. We'll spread some stuff on it. It'll be really lovely. But what we can do, again, we can just rotate these gently. Just flip them over. Make sure that all sides are getting cooked. Actually, it doesn't even really want to rotate that much either. We could rotate these. Okay, you know what? I might need another tool to help me do that. I might need 2 tools. Because we don't have so much stock that they're just like swimming in there. So we have to give them a little bit of extra help. Okay? But we're not stirring it. We're not breaking it up. We're being so gentle. We're being so delicate you won't even believe. That one's already tucked in. Just any of the ones that were like really, really exposed. Okay? Perfect. Beautiful. Just like that. Such a simple soup. Guys, this was also easy. And yeah, I've decided I'm not going to use any of the chicken because that soup is already full as it is. I'm going to use the shredded chicken for something else at some point. I'm just putting stuff away while we have the passive time. The last thing that you want is to have a kitchen full of dishes, so you have to clean as you go. Whenever you get a little second, take advantage of that second. Take advantage of that moment. And we'll see if we need the half of that juice still. Meatballs, that's right. Chopsticks would have been a good idea. That's a good suggestion, Nix. Just got here. Hello, Dirt McNasty. It's lovely to have you. Put some adobo for shits and giggles. I will not be doing that, Chiag. I will not. Clean as you go, not going to happen. All right, Gigi. Well, you know what? You're being a hater. I don't know how to say this to you, but you're being a bit of a hater. There is one more thing we can do. We're going to slice up some basil to garnish this. So that soup is going at the moment. It really only needs about 10 more minutes of cook time, maybe 15. We'll see how much the cauliflower is cooked. We'll see how much the meatballs are cooked. We're just going to slap a lid on because I don't want any more liquid to reduce. I want to keep all that liquid and all the moisture inside. Okay. You missed your flight. Oh no, I'm so sorry to hear that, Gigi. I'm really sorry. Okay. A little bit of basil. I hope you're able to make it to wherever you need to go. Ooh, this basil is not the best when I got it. Okay, we'll try to get the best leaves out. I don't need that much. It's just going to be for one bowl. Okay, that should be plenty. We're going to just stack them up. You know, we're not going to do anything crazy. You know what we're going to do? We're going to tear these up. I've realized we don't even need to slice it up. It's going to be for the garnish, right? Isn't what people do all the time? They don't really take a knife to the basil either. We're just going to take them and we're going to tear them off in pieces like this. That's it. People do this with basil all the time. Nice and rustic. Don't have to get crazy with it or anything. And we're just going to throw this on top of the soup whenever we're done with it. Okay. The soup is going. It is boiling away at the moment. It is almost done. We'll plate it up. We'll get a little bit more cheese on top. It's going to be really, really nice and tasty. I'm going to show you all what it looks like again. Okay, we're going to give the meatballs another stir now, another flip. Well, not a stir, but still, just a flip skis. Make sure that they're all evenly cooking as much as possible. And you can see they're not really breaking up. They'd only be breaking up if we were to stir them too aggressively earlier on. But now they've seized up and they have a good amount of structure to them. Okay? We're being so gentle. We're being so delicate with these things. Chef, you need to drink some water. Thank you for the reminder. I appreciate it. I forgot to drink water again. I did the streamer thing. Thank you. And I guess this is like closest to like an Italian wedding soup or something, but you know, that's not the way I'm really thinking about it. I looked at my fridge, I saw that I have meatballs, I saw that I have chicken. Chef should hydrate the soup? No, I will not. I love the flavor that the soup has. I don't want to hydrate it anymore because I risk diluting all of that flavor that we've spent so much time building. I'm also going to get the cheese out preemptively for when we're ready to go. I have a feeling that that's enough acidity, and it should be cooked enough that it's no longer raw, right? So I can just have a little sip at the moment. Oh, holy shit. Guys, did you see how simple the soup was? Was the soup anything crazy? This is what you would say, no, chef. You saw how simple this was, yeah? It's full of flavor. It's so full of flavor. We have such simple components. We have some chicken, we have some ground beef, we have some onions, carrots, celery. There's nothing crazy in here. And it's full of flavor. It's simple, it's delicious, and I'm really, really excited for it. And again, I really cannot emphasize enough, this is not the kind of a thing that you can cook infinitely either, right? The cauliflower, alongside things like cabbage, alongside things like broccoli, they have like a certain window, right, where they're no longer like super like crunchy if you don't want like a roasted texture on it, but they're like really soft and they're really, really sweet. And so that's why we're careful not to cook this for more than 20 to 30 minutes once we've begun this, right? Once you start going past that point, it starts to get too soft and starts to have like that smell, that distinct sulfury smell that a lot of people don't love. Also, the answer is 5-5. Okay, I'm getting my Parmesan out. I'm gonna get my bowl ready to go in just a moment because we're gonna be plating up soon. In 5 minutes time, I'm gonna try the meatball and see how that's going. Just to see if it's fully cooked through. Does it have the texture that I want? Look, I can't help it. I can't help what I am. 5 more minutes, my friends. And this is all gonna be ready to go for us. Yeah, one of them kind of fell apart a little bit, I think, but the rest of them have held their shape quite nicely. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for out of the soup. And now that they've cooked this much, they can now be stirred, right? They can do their thing. Ah, lovely. Looks great. 5 more minutes, my friends, or 4 more minutes at this point. But yeah, if you ever feel like your meatballs are breaking apart, it's because you tried to squeeze them, you tried to move them too much when they weren't ready. And that is sort of a consequence of frying meatballs. Frying a meatball can be really, really difficult because if you want to like pick it up and squeeze it with a tong, it's really difficult to flip it. Deep frying meatballs in that case is kind of optimal because you're able to get like all of it seared and you're able to develop color on all of it at once. But pan frying a meatball, it's just going to be challenging. You have to gently flip it over with like 2 spoons. So don't use tongs. Do not use tongs if you're going to fry the meatballs beforehand. Okay? They squeeze the sides too much. They cause it to break up. I am going to steal 1 meatball now and just to see where we're at. Okay, I'm gonna see, can I even stir this at this point? I'm gonna get, They're all the same. I tried to say one of the smaller ones, but they're all fairly equally sized. Yeah, still a little underdone on the inside, so they're gonna take maybe in total, I don't know, maybe like another 8 minutes. I think something along those lines. But that's a really good meatball. A little bit underdone on the inside, but I don't care. I'll eat a raw meatball if I have to. It's not raw. It's just still like slightly pink. But it is delicious. Okay. 2 minutes is incorrect. In total, maybe like 6 minutes more for these meatballs right here. And now I feel confident that I can stir these up without breaking them apart. Okay? Spoon over the hot broth on them. Just keep them going. I think if you did like really tiny meatballs, they would have been done by this time. But mine are just exceptionally big today, because my scoop was that big. Better than an overcooked meatball. But I will say that the starch really does help it to keep it together. So, Dirt McNasty, you ask me, is that an all beef or pork or a mix? This is an all beef because that's what I had. But yes, I typically agree. I love doing a mix of different meats. Will I do an egg fried rice once Uncle Roger can give you a auntie title? Well, I don't think fried rice is a very good home food, at least for my kitchen. I'm going to explain to you why. Normally, I don't cook rice that is so dry, meaning cook rice with like so little water, that it's very granular and separated and optimal for fried rice. Fried rice, also, you need a lot of surface area on a pan, and you need a certain heat output that I don't think homes do a good job of. You can theoretically do it at home, but a lot of people, they never really get the fried rice texture that I'm looking for, and I'd always prefer to go out. I just prefer to go out for the fried rice. But yeah, no, ideally, if I was buying the meats for this separately, I would do some ground pork, some ground veal, right? That'd be pretty classic, pretty traditional, and something like this. But this was just beef because that's what I had around. And I didn't want to go out shopping today. But let me tell you guys, this stock, pretty incredible. Yeah, that is wonderful. That is really, really good. So flavorful. You're getting every single component. There's lemon zest, the lemon juice, right? So it has like that nice acidity, that nice aroma to it. You're getting the meatiness from the soy sauce, from the tomato paste. You're getting the broth. You're getting all the vegetables that we put in. We're getting the cauliflower as well. I do want to sneak a piece of the cauliflower and make sure it's not too soft or anything at this point. It's broken apart, but that's fine. In total, we just don't want it to exceed 40 minutes of cook time. We don't want it to go past that. That's a really delicious piece of cauliflower. Still has a little tiny bit of bite to it, but not so much that I would say it's crunchy. It's a soup. I don't think you need crunchy vegetables on a soup. You do not need everything to be like these super firm sauteed vegetables with still a little bit of bite to it. It's a soup. We just don't want it to get smelly. And really, as long as you're cooking it less than an hour, you're not going to get that. And we're not boiling it to death either. All right? It's going at its own pace. It's doing its thing. It's a cauliflower going their own way. CGTOW. Sorry, that was a pretty cringe reference. I apologize. That was pretty cringe. I haven't heard anybody mention men going their own way in quite some time. But yeah, if anybody has any final questions, please let me know. This is going to have about 3 more minutes of cook time, and then I'm going to test it by looking at yet another meatball, see how that's progressed. Any final questions, comments, concerns, anything that you want to say to me at all, and then we'll have a lovely little bowl of this together. Yeah, the meatballs are now firm enough that we can just move them around. Tells us quite a bit about their doneness, but they still need that additional cook time. Okay, so let's see what people say. What is my favorite Death Grips album? Asks McNasty. That's a good question. I do like Death Grips. Death Grips. And my answer is going to be probably a very generic one. I just really like Money Story. Everybody likes Money Story because Anthony Fantano reviewed it all that time ago. But I like Money Story. I like Money Story quite a bit. Okay. Let me see. Nick asks me, if meatball made from fish, are they still meatballs? Yeah, that's still a meatball, technically. Well, no, it'd be a fish ball. It's a fish ball. The texture of a fish ball is very different. And you're not really doing those with starch. You're looking to get like the bounciness. I'm talking about like Asian-style fish balls. So is cauliflower in this, asks Tazuraki, because you're getting rid of it. Can you do broccoli instead? Absolutely, you can do broccoli. You can do any cruciferous vegetable you want. In fact, you can do any vegetable that you want on the planet. But the idea of cooking it between 30 to 40 minutes, 20 to 40 minutes, will apply to broccoli, to cauliflower, so that theory of, that train of thought. So, yeah, I was just getting rid of it, but you can do this with anything that you want. This is not a named dish. This is me looking at what I have and making a lovely soup out of it. When will I cook a beef Wellington, asks Audio Murphy? I will not do that because that's not home food. Everything that I'm teaching to you right now is home food. That is not something that reheats well, it's not something that's cheap, and it's not something that can be transformed into something else, and Wellington is only something that can be served immediately. So I will never do a Wellington on the stream. Do I have any recommendations for meal prep ideas? Make a lot of stews, make a lot of soups. Make stews and soups, a lot of stews, make beans. Those reheat well. Will I do a baking stream once, asks Jack, and the answer is never. Because I don't love doing pastry. I'll do it to impress somebody. But I don't eat sweets. So I don't do it. Hope that answers your question. Okay. I am going to test one more meatball. See if it's done now. And if it's not, we're going to have to just cook it more. Because I don't want undercooked meatballs. What about pizza, asks Nick. And I don't think that's a home food either. How do you reheat a pizza well? The answer is you don't. It'll never be as good as it was when it came out. And I don't love working with dough. I do not love working with dough at home. So that's another one of those things that I refuse to do in a home setting because I don't think it's optimal in a home setting. Oh, my friends, look at this meatball. Look at this meatball right now. I want to show you all this meatball. Look at this meatball. Look at that, perfect, huh? Soft. Cut it with the edge of a spoon. It's not so hard, it's not so chewy. That's a delicious meatball. Okay, my friends, I think it's time to plate. Homemade pasta. Nick, I don't want to work with dough at home. So, I'm not about that. All right, my friends, I think it is time for us to plate. Let's do the finishing touches. I keep going to the wrong scene. We can go ahead and shut off the heat. Let's shut off the heat. We don't want that to cook anymore. We don't want to overcook that cauliflower. Yeah, you and Nick Self had the same thought at the same time. Very beautiful. Let's get a big old scoop. All that cauliflower, all those vegetables. We'll get another meatball in there as well. And now we'll get a big old scoop of that broth. Let's get another big scoop of that broth. Let's get one more meatball, my friends. Because I want that protein today. This is my dinner for tonight. And now, look at this beautiful soup, huh? Nice and simple. Let's do a couple more final steps, final touches. The monarch of an unspecified country is coming over for dinner. What do I make? I'll make my tacos every single day of the week. I'll do my tacos. And now, we'll do on top a little bit of Parmesan cheese. I'm kidding. Not a little bit. A generous amount. And we're going to do it very Italian-American restaurant style. You know what that is to me? You know what that is? Raw, cracked black pepper on top. Very Olive Garden-esque, isn't it? That was the most pretentious shit I've ever said in my life. Very Olive Garden-esque, isn't it? That was annoying. Oh, that came out of my mouth and I felt bad. Okay. Jesus Christ. What is my problem? Okay. And then some of the fresh basil. And this, my friends, this is it. Okay. Everybody, we have officially concluded the meatball soup that we've made today. Let's have a little recap We made a beautiful stock, homemade from scratch, with a bunch of chicken, some bay leaves, some black peppercorns, a little bit of garlic, some carrot scraps, and celery scraps. We cut up some carrots, onions, and celery. We sauteed it in olive oil and butter alike. We added some garlic, we added tomato paste, and a splash of soy sauce for just a little bit of extra meaty flavor. We poured it in the stock that we've made. Okay, we added some lemon zest and some lemon juice. We also made some meatballs for the soup because this is a meatball soup. The meatballs, ground beef, we took some onions, we sauteed some onions in olive oil so that we get it really nice and sweet and we get all the extra liquid out. We take some bread, we soak it in a bit of milk, and that makes the meatballs really, really nice and soft. We mix in a bunch of Parmesan cheese for flavor, some garlic as well, a bunch of black pepper and some salt. We make the meatballs, we scoop them out, and then we cook them in that beautiful stock and that beautiful soup that we've made, my friends. And then, of course, some cauliflower because I had it and I wanted to get rid of it, nice and sweet. And we garnished it with more Parmesan, with some basil and black pepper. Let's have a little bite. How many calories per bowl? I have no clue. Not a clue. Oh, that's really nice. Let's have a little meatball. That's really good. I haven't had a chance to make meatballs in a while. I'm happy that I had the opportunity to do so. Healthy, there's a lot of vegetables. There's also a lot of fat. This might be quite, caloric. It has quite a bit of caloric density to it. It's a really beautiful soup, my friends. Has so much meatiness. That stock that we made is so concentrated. Beautiful. That is such a really nice soup. It's cold outside in New York. I was not expecting this to taste so good today. I'm telling you, the magic was really the tomato paste and the soy sauce, but also how concentrated that stock was. And everybody, let me tell you right now, that's why I don't fuck with store-bought stocks, box stocks. It's actually nonsense. If you want to do anything, do prepackaged powdered bouillon. Do not buy store-bought stock. It is so expensive for what it is. There is no reason it should cost as much as it does for how little flavor it has. The stock that we made ourselves is so concentrated, it's so meaty, it's so full of flavor. Beautiful. Okay. That's going to be the stream for today, everybody. I'm going to eat this off stream because I realized I enjoy kind of doing that off stream. If anybody has any final questions, comments, concerns, please let me know right now while we look to see if anybody else is live. I'm going to go through the food and cooking tab, I think. Go through the food and drink tab and see, is there anybody else that is currently cooking on Twitch? Anything else that you want to say to me before we sign off, please? Oh, I just saw my stream. I went there and I saw my own. That's pretty funny. What will we do next stream? I have no idea. I only decide on the day before. Everybody, next stream is going to be Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Bolognese, but like a soup. It might be too oily, so I would not recommend doing that. Baby John, thank you so much for stopping by. Really appreciate you being here. October's brain as well. Thank you all so much. We're going to go ahead and grade. Nobody leave. We're going to grade somebody. Let's show the love to somebody else. I found another cooking streamer on Twitch, so we should go ahead and say hi. /raid, Mudkip Ninja, I believe is the thing. Okay, everybody. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your night. I will see you all Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Don't forget, there is no stream this Sunday, but there will be this Friday. So catch me then, or catch me never.